Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
Finding you?
Good. I'm good. Office today, and I see you a little
So
later.
I cannot hear you too well. I have you with the things and seems like one of them is not working properly. Okay, now I think I could. How you doing today?
Doing great. I'm going to be in Cranston a little later. I'm not sure if you'll be there, but maybe I'll see you.
Oh, well, I'm leaving around 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Because right now I'm having problems with the internet at home. So that's why I've been coming over here.
Gotcha.
Soon as that gets fixed. So you're not from this office?
I'm sorry?
Jim? You're not from this office? Are you from this office?
I work in the Cranston office and in Newport.
Oh, okay. All right.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kelly. Anybody want to do a script with me? Good morning, Sarah. Are you our teacher today? Hi, Sarah.
Hey there.
Are you our instructor?
I'm one of them. I'm with Derek.
How exciting.
I know. I was like, you guys look like you're in a meeting. Am I in the right room?
You are in the right area. We're getting started in 10 minutes, but I was going to see if anybody wanted to play along with me this morning, and I have some scripts I wanted to kind of role play.
Okay.
If anybody is interested in taking me up on that.
I can take you.
Okay. All right. And guess what? Anybody who plays along with me this morning is going to get a Profit First book.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Best book ever.
It really is. All right. You ready?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to give you a script and you have to handle this objection. Okay.
Okay.
All right. You ready? I've been renting for many years and I need a new rental. I improved my credit this year and I'm looking in rentals for about $2,000 a month. Can you help me with that?
It will be my pleasure to help you. That's great to hear the fact that you improve your credit. Have you thought of instead of renting, it would be nice if you can own? Paying $2,000, it can really cover your mortgage. I don't see why not you can start putting that money away for yourself. Instead, when you decide to sell, you will have a nice profit there.
Oh, you know what? I actually never thought of that because I just don't think that I can buy.
Why? What could be the reason? Many single women do it all the time.
You know, I've just been nervous to even check to see if I'm qualified or what kind of house would I be able to purchase for $2,000 a month?
Well, you can do many things. I mean, you can even buy a condominium or something like that, that you don't have to even care for the outside. You only have to care for the inside.
I wouldn't even know the steps on buying a house. I've been renting for so many years. I just feel comfortable with renting.
Yeah, but the fact is you're getting too comfortable right now. And the fact is that you can be a new owner, a proud owner, and I can help you with all those steps. You only have to call the lender, which I will give you three reference, and you can call the one that you feel most happy with it, and just take a few steps, and let's see. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but at least you will know.
I love that. So let's just, so we could get some other role playing going on. Any feedback for Vilmar? I thought you did a great job, because that was exactly where I was hoping you'd go, is to recommend purchasing rather than staying in the rental route. One step that I would take it maybe one layer deeper is give them examples of properties in the area that they're renting in that they could purchase. So you know that the rental, that they could buy a multifamily for this much money, make some income on it, and pay their taxes and everything, and still be in that $2,000 a month range. Would that make sense for you to look into, right? So I think you did a great job with that. All right, you get a book. So just so you guys know, anybody who's jumping on now, I'm doing a little bit of a script off. Anybody who wants to play before we get started at 9 o'clock is going to
run with you, Jen.
I'm sorry?
I said I'll do one with you.
Who was that? Kelly.
Kelly.
All right. So I just need, I need you to email me your mailing address. I know where to find you, Wilmer. So I just need anyone else who plays their mailing address. So,
Okay.
all right, you ready, Kelly?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay. So I really want to start looking at houses, Kelly, and I just don't want to get pre-approved right now. So if you could just start, if you could show me those 3 houses that I sent you, that'd be great.
Okay. I'd be happy to show you some houses, Jen. Is there a reason why you don't want to get pre-approved right now? Is there something that's stopping you from looking into that?
Yeah, I just, I hear that every time my credit gets pulled, my credit score goes down. So I really don't want my credit score to go down, and I just want to look at houses right now.
Okay. Well, you can do a pre-approval if you were to do one right now that and know exactly where you're coming from, because I'm happy to show you some homes. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to show you a home, have you absolutely fall in love with it, change your mind and be like, yes, this is my home. And then when we go to get your pre-approval, you don't qualify for that amount, or that's not the price range that we're going to play in. And then you're disappointed. And that's like the worst feeling. So I would say if you were to go, I can give you the name of a couple lenders. They can really explain the process to you, because I don't want to try and explain that whole process to you, because that's not my job. That's what I have them here for. But I work with a great group, and I can give you 3 or 4 names of people. You can speak to them first, see who you think you're the most comfortable with, and then let them run that for you. Because I'd love to show you houses that are definitely attainable for you, not something that you're going to be disappointed in.
I love that, Kelly. So I'm breaking script for a minute and saying, Kelly, that was a great job. And here's another thing, right? So as quick as you said all of that, and that really makes it like, oh yeah, I should go get pre-approved. Another thing that we could throw in there, which is the relevant market, right? So anybody going to look at a property right now that isn't pre-approved, are they really serious? Because what's happening to the properties right now?
You're going to lose it. They're moving so fast. If you're not pre-approved when you walk in the door, then you can forget it.
That's right. There's no way that they even have a fighting chance.
Yes.
So I think you did a great job.
I was scrambling a little for that. So I'm glad you said that, because that's a perfect next thing. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, there's a couple of layers that we could add on to each one of these, and it just depends on which way the conversation goes with the client. I'm just doing these quick scripts, so I think you did a fabulous job with that. All right, I have time for one more script partner. So anybody who has just jumped on, we're doing a little Happy Friday giveaway. And anybody who wants to play along with me, I'm doing a little script off. And the next person who says they'll do it will get a Profit First book. Who wants to play?
Jen, I'll play again, and then you can raffle the book if you want to somebody else, or we can.
Nobody else wants to script with me?
Okay, I'll play. All right.
Okay,
All right.
good.
Kelly, how about if you're the client? And the script is, I want to wait until next spring to list my house.
Okay, That's
All
fine.
right, Kelly, Stacy, take it away.
All right. Hi, Stacy. How are you today?
Good, Kelly. How are you?
Good. I'm really good. I was calling you today because I want to I want to look at listing my house, but not right now. I'd love to know what the value of it is, but I'm not really looking to do anything until next spring.
Okay, I would be glad to come over. We can meet up. I can do a market analysis for you and help you kind of get a general idea of what it's worth. But what it's worth right now, in this market may be very different from what it's worth in the spring. And I'm just wondering why, do you think you won't be ready to get it on the market right now? Because right now is such a good time with the interest rates so low. And, you know, I know your house kind of fits in that first home buyer market. So all those first time home buyers that are out there right now with those low interest rates, I think would just really swoop in and pick your place up real quick. So maybe we should talk about what's making you hesitate to get it on the market so soon.
I just feel like, you know, the holidays are coming. I have so much to do. I feel like I want to paint a few rooms and change some things up. And it just feels like so much to have to do right now that I just don't know if I would be ready before spring.
I definitely can hear that, but there's a lot of things I can do to help support you. You know, maybe we can talk about some workshops on declutter and just kind of getting started, and maybe you just have to kind of jump in, and then we can work through the steps from there on the best way to get going. Sometimes this is a good time around the holidays. There's a lot less out there for your house to be competing with. So this might be a really good time, and I can definitely support you through each step. Maybe we can break it down into small steps and just kind of start slowly. And we could start with a meeting and just getting that whole market analysis going. What do you think?
That sounds good. That sounds good. And I guess maybe if we did it in steps, you know, does my house have to, how does, you know, what about the winter and people coming through, and what if it doesn't sell right away right now? And then it's like, you know, snow hits the ground. We do live in Maine, so that can happen any day now.
That is true. And I think sometimes a house up in Maine might be a really good good sell at this time of year, because people are really wanting to get away during this COVID. They want to get a little bit further away, and they can see the value of ski season up there right now if that's what they're interested in. So we can definitely talk about it. I think really we just have to start a conversation, and we can kind of talk through all the different things. And if we decide that, you know, wait until next spring, then we'll wait till next spring, you know. But I really think that this might be a really good time to get that house on the market. And I feel like you could just jump in and get going on it.
All right, guys, awesome job. I don't mean to cut you off here, but it is 9 o'clock and I want to make sure we get started with our session. Kelly and Stacy, great job. Please send me your addresses and you guys will be getting your copy of Profit First. I will
Thanks.
script offs early before Ignite some days, so it pays to come on early and do these. You guys did a great job. So practicing your scripts is kind of like what I wanted to just have a quick conversation about. Just hearing other people having that conversation, having that genuine conversation with somebody else about their need, whether it be about should I rent, should I buy, should I sell, whatever it is. Having these script practices helps you have a authentic and real conversation with somebody else. Because as Gary Keller says, confidence is learned. And what that means is it's just practice, practice, practice. So keep learning your scripts, guys. Great job this morning. I am really excited that we have Darren and Sarah as your instructors this morning, and they're going to be taking it away. So guys, go ahead.
All right, well, thank you, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to another session of Ignite. Thank you to Jen for getting everything started here. Script practice is always essential. I want everybody to take a minute and look around and find people that you know and your accountability partner. And if they're not there, just text them and find out where they are. Make sure that they're here. Make sure they're participating, okay? Great Friday, nice weather. I think there's nice weather all the way up to Maine. If anybody has snow, raise your hand. No, not yet?
Hopefully not yet.
Awesome, excellent. So I'm Darren Geddick, productivity coach, Keller Williams Greater Hartford. And we're actually going to be talking about marketing today. And with me is Sarah. So Sarah, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi there, I'm Sarah Herda. I'm the productivity business development coach in Andover, Mass.
Excellent, excellent. So we're going to get started here. And Erin is actually, I believe she's going to be monitoring the chat for us. So if anybody has any questions or as things come up, we'll try to address them as things come along. But essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about marketing. And marketing is an essential part of our business, right? We're going to be differentiating between prospecting, which everybody learned about yesterday, and marketing. We're going to make sure we understand the two. But we always want to make sure that we're at least doing both, right? We want to have prospecting and marketing as part of our core business, okay? That's essential to anything that we do, all right? Now, as we go through, and I know I mentioned this last time we were here, but you choose how you want to participate, all right? It's very open. Ask as many questions as you want. We want to make it more of a dialogue rather than a monologue with everybody that's here. So feel free to interrupt, jump in, ask any questions. I mean, this is for your benefit, okay? This is for you to actually build that foundation for your business, to get things going, and to make sure that you're following the right steps and the right habits to be successful real estate agents, okay? And I'm actually going to share the screen here. All right, actually, before we begin, I would like to just show everybody a video here.
I was a big dreamer, and so my job was to clean these 7 floors between Friday and Sunday. So every time I would go to the 7th floor was the CEO's office. So I would bust in like I was the CEO. I'm dreaming like I'm the CEO now. And who would have ever thought? I've been blessed. And here I am the CEO of my own company.
Well, I think that the number one thing is you have to have a very clear vision, a very clear goal of where you want to go, because only then you will get there. You can have the best airplane or the best ship in the world, but if the captain doesn't know where to go, he will just drift around. If the pilot does not know where to go, he will just drift around with his plane. So I think the key thing is that we know where we're going and that you're very passionate about that. You see it always in front of you, the goal.
To thrive in whatever you do, please understand your terrain. Know what your target is. Don't guess it. Be as clued up as the next man, because that's your petrol. That's your fuel to get you moving. If you don't know where you're going, what your targets are, you're never going to get there. Period.
The other thing that's important is that you got to shoot for the top. You got to go and really have big goals and think big, because then you're going to get big. Then you're going to go and achieve big things. That is the most important thing. We don't achieve big things by accident.
I have to tell each and every one of you that it doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, your age, you can achieve anything that you set your mind to. And I always say, if I can do it, anyone can do it.
If you think that you're going to go and accomplish something really special and be the best in anything in the world, and you think you can do it without working, you make a big mistake. Because no matter what I did, if it was in bodybuilding or in acting or if it was in the political arena, it always took a lot of work. And you got to put out, and you got to, something like a lot of sacrifices and all this. If you're not ready to work hard, forget about it.
I truly believe we are all equal as human beings. If we are obsessed with something and we truly pursue our passion with everything we have, regardless of anything else, if you are obsessed, work hard, put in the time, you will succeed. And that is a philosophy that I carry, my coaches carry. And to see LeBron James, who's like a mega superstar over here and a phenomenal athlete, share that belief is inspiring right back to me. It shows that we are thinking correct. This is hard work. This is an obsession. Nothing can beat hard work.
This here is the reality? Do you mean that the competition is not the reality?
Listen, the work is behind the scenes. Competition is the easy part. Behind the scenes is where the work is done. Everything is done to get to
that one race that you need to run.
I always question myself in the best of times, even when I was world number one for many, many weeks and months in a row. At certain times during the year, I said, what can I improve? What do I need to change? Because if you don't do anything or you just do the same thing over and over again, you stay the same. And staying the same means going backwards because the other guys are working hard and improving. So I always need to find ways to improve my game as well.
Very often watch a lot of young people sort of meander around without any idea about why they're doing what they're doing. I mean, to want and to be ambitious and to want to be successful is not enough.
All right, so what did everybody think? What was the main message coming out of that? Any thoughts?
You don't get anything without hard work.
Exactly. Hard work, right? That's the biggest thing, is hard work. We don't do anything and we don't get to be successful without hard work, right? And the biggest thing that we can do is put as much work as we want into our business, okay? Making sure that all the stuff that we're doing behind the scenes is going to pay off for us in the long run, right? We're going to sit there, we're going to put in as much effort and as much work as we want. Nobody's going to see that. Nobody's going to understand that. Everybody's going to see that we are successful. But in order for us to get there, we've got to put in that hard work, right? So that's a bit of a motivational video that's there. So what are some other thoughts that we have here?
That we have to have a plan.
Right. Plan. Exactly. That's the biggest thing too, is making sure that we don't just blindly go out there and do what we want to do. We're actually going to go out there. We're going to have a plan, right? So excellent. Anybody else?
You have to set big goals.
Set big goals. Absolutely. Yep. Live big, dream big. You got to set big goals. So, and that's part of what we're going to be doing here. So we're going to be going through essentially showing you, all right, how to take your marketing to utilize your business, all right, and using it as a tool to not only grow your business, to enhance your marketing, to basically take a session of this and put it where it needs to be to make sure that you have all the fundamentals for your business, right? People aren't going to know that you're an agent unless you're marketing, and marketing is key to this. We don't want to be secret agents, right? We don't want to sit here and we don't want to be behind the scenes hoping that people will contact us and reach out to us. It's important for us to get our name out there, to be known, to be in front of people, to get out there, okay? So, all right, what we're going to be focusing on today, we're going to be talking about lead generation for your buyers and sellers through the marketing, okay? And marketing, a lot of what we do is marketing seller listings, but we're also marketing ourselves as part of that, right? Marketing comes in various forms and various stages. So just taking a step back, what is marketing? Does anybody have a definition or an idea of marketing? Throw it out there. Let's see what you got.
It's promoting your product.
Promoting your product, right? Or your service. Yep, absolutely. Okay. What else? Do we need a coffee break already?
It's a passive activity of not actively engaging people, but kind of like casting a net out to put a message out and then see what comes back.
Exactly. Yep, absolutely. So it's a bit of it's approach of one to many, right? As opposed to one to one, which is prospecting. It's one to many. We're putting something out there. It's a broad-based approach of trying to get our message, our product, our service, whatever it is out there for folks to see, okay? So you said passive, which is good because it's not directed at anybody. It's not basically anything that we're doing anything specifically, but you know, it's just more a matter of us getting our message out there, and that's going to help us, right? In conjunction with prospecting, doing out there. So Sarah, is there anything that you wanted to add as well?
I would just say, remember that marketing enhances our prospecting. That prospecting, we're going to get a much higher return on our efforts, but marketing, we are casting out, as someone had mentioned before, attracting people that we don't know yet, hopefully.
Absolutely. So as we go through what we're going to be talking about today, we'll talk about the difference between the prospecting that you learned yesterday and the marketing that we have today. All right. We're going to touch on basically the types of marketing and the things that we can do. And we can be as creative as we want. We'll give you a whole list of different things that are out there, potential for you to do that. We're actually going to take a look at how to create materials in Command. Command is a phenomenal tool, especially when it comes to marketing, okay? If you go into designs, there's hundreds of templates that are out there for various things and various ways that you can offer value to your clients out there, okay? And then we're going to actually see how we can put those in use. We can post them out there in social media. There's other ways for us to get our message out there, but again, utilizing the tools in Command, okay, are a great way for you to basically use Command to the fullest effect and make sure you're doing everything you can to grow your business, okay? So let's take a look at this, all right? We talked about marketing, what marketing was, but what is prospecting then? How do we define prospecting?
Kind of the opposite. It's active. It's one-to-one or one to a couple engagement. That specifically like targets that exact person or persons to get the message.
Right. Okay.
It's also more of a direct like request for business approach as opposed to just like, hey, this is what I can do.
Exactly. Prospecting is one-to-one. Marketing is one-to-many. All right. Prospecting usually doesn't involve much in the way of money, right? Because there's 6 ways that we can prospect. They fall into 6 categories here. So we can obviously call people, we can text them, we can email them, all right? We can reach out through social media. We can do the old school way, which is mail. And I guess the other old school way now technically is face-to-face, right? But those are the 6 ways that we can actually prospect, have that one-to-one conversation. And when we're doing that, we're reaching out directly to people, right? We're reaching out to them. It doesn't really cost much money for us to do any of that, right? I mean, that's something that, hey, it's very easy for us to do, And when we get in the habit of doing it and taking that action, okay, that's perfect. That's prospecting right there. All right. Now let's take a look at marketing. Marketing, like Eric mentioned, is just the opposite. Now it's one-to-many. All right. We're actually reaching out to many people and we're hoping that they come back to us, right? We hope that they contact us. We're reaching out to them. So it's one-to-many. There's multiple forms. There's different ways that can take shape when we're out there. I tend to look at marketing, I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but marketing is more of a shotgun approach, whereas prospecting is more of a sniper. You're targeting certain things. But when you put your message out there, you're getting it out to as many people as possible because we want as many people to know that we are in real estate. We're the real estate specialist, right? We're the consultant. We're the specialist. We're there to help them solve their problem, all right? So what are some examples of marketing that you've seen, whether it be real estate or some effective ones that you've seen in other industries? Anybody want to share anything?
Media ads such as TV, radio, social media.
Sure. Okay. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Websites, events.
Okay. Yep. Websites, events, right?
Name on it.
I think it broke up on that one there. I don't know if anybody heard that one, but.
No.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything unique that somebody is doing either in your office or something that you've seen somebody do in another industry?
How about first-time buyer workshops?
Absolutely. That's a good one right there. First-time home buyer, and you could also do seller seminars. How about real estate investing seminars, wealth building seminars, things like that. Seminars are a great way. Put that out there, draw people in, have them register, sign up, and you've got a captive audience right there. So that's excellent. Excellent. Anything else?
Business network meetups. I used to go to like a lot of meetups, investor networks before COVID.
Yeah, BNI, Business Networking International, or being a member of your Chamber of Commerce, things like that. Meetup groups like that are excellent. Sure. Absolutely. I'll give you a story about somebody who was in our program. She actually was a new agent. She started with us last August, and she spent the first couple of months essentially talking to every single member of her church. I think there were 800 people. So she went to every single one, gave them a business card and a flyer, talked to them about real estate needs. And then she actually reached out to fellow Keller Williams agents. The agents had some pretty cool homes that were out there. And what she did was she asked permission to make a video of their home. And so she took a friend of hers and she went in and she did a video tour of each home. And it was kind of like MTV Cribs, where she would highlight all the different points and sped through when they were walking through the hallways and would do a quick 5-minute video. Every week she did one house. Now, that was getting it out there. People were seeing it. It was great. Everybody loved the video. And video is the big thing now. Well, from that, she actually landed a spot on a radio show, a local radio show. So twice a week, she had a half-hour spot where she actually went in and talked real estate. Now, granted, she'd only had her license for what, maybe 3, 4, 5 months at that point. Don't really remember the exact starting date, but she had a regular spot on a radio show twice a week because of that. My question to her was like, how many people that called in that radio show asked you how long you were a real estate agent? And she said, no one. No one. And because of that, her business took off from there. So she was getting people obviously from her church, and she was also getting people from the radio show. Now the radio show was local, but there were people that listened to it all the way down the East Coast down to Florida. So every week she was getting 2 to 3 referrals from that, just from doing a video, right? And it was a video of other people's property. She didn't even have the listing, but she took the time to put that in, do that, and that worked for her. So those are just some ideas, some things to share there, some ways to get creative. So
I have a couple ideas for you.
Perfect.
How about marketing without even saying anything? So today I wore an Ignite t-shirt, right? What if you had, it could be a much nicer shirt than a t-shirt, but something that said Keller Williams, or something on your coffee mug or on your computer or on the back of your phone, or something that is saying who you are and what you do without even opening up your mouth. Gym bag, anything that you do. Another idea would be looking at what you do with your social posts, right? So Halloween is coming. We don't yet know, for the most of us anyway, what Halloween is going to look like. But what about if you are to curate, not create, but curate what's happening in your area, that this house of worship or this office or this group is holding a trunk or treat, and people, kids can come and safely, trick or treat in the parking lot, everyone wearing a mask that says Keller Williams on it or some such thing, right? What can you do in your social posts to highlight your community, showing that you're a neighborhood expert, give value, because a lot of people are wondering what's going to happen for Halloween, right? You could do the same thing for fireworks. You could do the same, anything that's happening, and really, how can you talk about your area and what you do in a way that's not necessarily saying, hey, Darren, this is Sarah Herta from Keller Williams. Do you know anyone who's looking to buy, sell, invest, or rent, right? You're doing the same thing, or at least starting the conversation in a much more conversational way. And that's all marketing.
You could have pens made up with your name and contact info, pass them out everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Name badges right there.
Yeah, name badges are huge. I hear so many people. There was a woman I know who was pumping gas at a gas station. They had the name tag, and the person across from her said, hey, I'm looking to buy a house. Can I contact you? Of course, she's going to say yes, right? So, absolutely. The other thing is, too, when speaking about ways to, that people interact, how many people do you see in real estate that actually have a sticker on their laptop that say, I'm a realtor, ask me anything, something along those lines, or I'm with Keller Williams, something along like that. That is a great conversation starter. You have your laptop open in a Dunkin' Donuts or a coffee shop or somewhere, library, people are going to come up to you. They naturally gravitate towards that. So, excellent. Good. All right. So now we're going to get into different other types of marketing. We touched on a few of them here, but we actually have a list right here of things that you do for prospecting and for marketing, and ones that are a combination of the two. Now, this is in everybody's book on page 4 in the handout that you have there. You actually have these lists, okay? Now, this list that you see is constantly being updated too. There's all kinds of different options that are out there. So we actually talked about essentially ways to market. We came up with some creative ideas, okay? What we're trying to do is we're trying to basically create engagement by the things that we do, okay? By going out there and putting the marketing pieces that are out there, whether it be, let's say a trunk or treat, and you basically put stickers on those bags and you hand them out, or you have those bags, things like that. We're trying to create that engagement. Now, as you start to build your business, and you're dealing with the prospecting and the marketing, you're going to start to find the methods and the ways and the techniques that are basically your strengths, the ones that work for you. If you're not sure, it's great to go out and try things, even ones that you're not sure about, because being uncomfortable is going to help you to grow. And you're going to find too that there may be something where you're like, oh, there's no way I'm picking up the phone. And then you start making a few calls and you go, hey, that's really not that bad. And then your conversion rate is pretty high. And you're like, I'm doing calls all day long. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't, but you'll find ways to do that. But typically when you look at successful agents that are out there, all right, 90% of them only have about 5 ways of reaching out to their clients, okay? 5 are it, that's it, nothing more, nothing less. So don't overcomplicate it. Try certain things, see how it goes, see what that return is on doing that particular marketing, okay? There's so many ways to actually get your name out there, right? There are stories that I've heard. I remember Jason Abrams mentioning a story of a woman that was on his team, high producer, did a great job, and everything, she was burned out. So he said, all right, take a step back and just go out and do something that you enjoy for a couple of weeks and just get your mind off of everything. So she enjoyed playing tennis, so she went to her tennis club. Didn't talk real estate with anyone, all right? But the tennis club that she had started getting more and more members, and people were coming in. She found herself sponsoring tennis tournaments, basically having tennis balls with her logo on there. Didn't say a word about real estate, but everybody knew that she was in real estate because of those subtle messages, okay? You can do so many different things out there. We talked about, basically sponsoring different events out there. There's newsletters that you can do. If you go into designs, there's ways that you can actually send out real estate information that's particular to neighborhoods or towns, okay? You can do Instagram posts, right? Social media, anything you can go in there that's going to create that engagement. Videos, seminars, right? Does anybody know who Tony Baroni is down in the Tampa, Florida area? Has anybody heard of the Reverse Bold 100?
I do.
Okay.
I just took the UPW in here 2 months ago.
Right.
Unleash the power within. Yeah.
Now this you have to be a little careful with, because you have to see what the contest rules are in your state. But what he does is every month he has a drawing or a raffle of a particular item. It could be a grill, it could be a trip somewhere. But what he does is he basically posts it out there in a newsletter that he sends out to thousands of people that are in his database, all right? And he posts it around. And people actually have to call in, okay, to be entered into that raffle. So what he's doing is he's basically going out and he's drawing in people that might be interested in his services or know what it's about, just for the chance of winning a grill or whatever it may be at that point. So that's another way to create that engagement, right? To draw people in, have them contact you without you having to lift a finger to do anything, right? Okay. We're going out, we're offering value. We're offering something that's going to actually be of interest to people, right? We're not trying to sell anything. We're here to basically draw that interest, right? That engagement, right? We talked about networking groups. Networking groups are a great way to do that, right? Those are ways that you can actually join a local chamber or Business Networking International, BNI. If there isn't one, then create one, right? Go out and basically partner yourself with other folks of other professionals, of other industries, and give each other referrals where you can, right? How about reaching out to local businesses, vendors, vendor relationships, right? Reach out to somebody. If you want to be a specialist in a particular town, right? Go to the local restaurants, the pizza places, see if you can drop off your cards. And, if you get to be really big, put together what's called a vendor book, right? Wouldn't you love to give people who move into a neighborhood or move into a house a book with coupons or special deals from local businesses, right? They're going to appreciate it. Everybody's going to be happy. You're going to be able to market yourself and the local businesses, especially now. A lot of businesses are suffering, right? Talk to inspectors, lenders, right? Start to develop those professional relationships. They can help to get your message out. Attorneys are a great way to do it. And I hate to say this, but some of the biggest business can come from divorce attorneys, all right? Anybody know how many divorces the average attorney does in a month? Anybody want to take a guess?
100?
I don't think things are that bad, but
Okay.
no, it's 10.
Is it
It's
less
10.
than 50? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's 10. But, I think, probably anything over 1 or 2 is probably a lot, but 10. Okay. So figure if there are 10 divorces that are going on, all right? You have anywhere from 1 to 3 transactions potentially. Either there's going to be a sale and everybody's moving out of state somewhere else, right? You can get a referral there. Or there's a sale and 2 buys involved in that, all right? There's a lot of different combinations, but those are ways to actually branch out, so.
If I don't get listings soon, I'll be on that list, so.
Okay, well, that's
Kidding,
why timing on this is perfect. Timing on this is perfect, so. All right, so what sort of questions do we have here so far?
How do we balance the costs of figuring out these things that work for us versus overall reward? Obviously we're talking return on investment. We're also talking to new agents who have already put a fair amount of money into getting started, and it's kind of like, okay, well, so now what do I need to spend in order to get rolling? So how do we look at most bang for the buck, so to speak?
Well, really, I don't know if this was mentioned yesterday, but one of the things that we like to throw out there is that you're prospecting based but marketing enhanced. Okay, so everything that we do within Keller Williams, especially for new agents, through the coaching program and the support that we have here, what we're doing is we're showing you all the ways, okay, to essentially reach out to either your database and people you know or people that you don't know for little to no cost whatsoever, okay, for the prospecting side, generating that. Now, as you start to get your name out there, there's still inexpensive ways that you can market, right? Social media is a perfect way to get your message out there because you do have a captive audience when it comes to that, right? And we're not saying to go out there and all of a sudden buy yourself, 10,000 pens and, 400 t-shirts and just start handing them out to people, okay? We may not be in a position to do that. However, if you're focused on the prospecting, because that's where you're really going to get you're going to get the biggest return, all right? But you're actually supplementing that with the marketing of whatever it is that you can do, all right? Then that's going to be how you grow your business. Then you'll get to the point, it's like the whole red light, green light scenario, where you're going to be able to say, like, something, I have money set aside for some additional marketing, so maybe now I'm going to do a billboard, or maybe now I'm actually going to do a large postcard campaign in the neighborhood I want to be in, or something along those lines, right? Even the example that I had mentioned, the agent that was in our office, okay, it didn't cost her anything to do those videos and do that and send it out. And then to talk to the folks in her church, but also to be on the radio show as well. It just led from one thing to another, right? So your focus is on the prospecting and you're enhancing it with the marketing. And there's so many different ways. We just talked about a bunch of ways to market, right? And not all of them involve money, right? But it all depends on where you are with your budgeting and what you can do. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it did. I'm hoping to sell like 2 or 3 houses before I sponsor a tennis tournament.
Sure.
So
Okay, absolutely.
yeah, no, those are really good ideas. Yeah, thanks, Darren.
But even if you think about that too, let's say that there's a tennis tournament, right? You can always just create a banner. Starts off maybe with just a banner. And, if you know somebody in the printing shop, that would be a vendor relationship that you have. And say, like, listen, if anybody needs print materials, or if I need to come in and print door hangers, I will absolutely use you. I'd love to get a banner from you. So now you're building a vendor relationship from that standpoint as well. And make it.
I have something to ask in there too. Eric, who else could you maybe talk to about sharing the cost of that banner?
Like partnering up and almost like in terms of like when we used to be able to do events, right? But like, kind of I've heard of people teaming up with, renting out space somewhere for like an in-person seminar, and they split the cost of that with like, maybe they had a lender on hand to go and do something like that. Is that kind of the relationship that you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good idea as well.
Home inspectors, attorneys, lenders, who do we work with on a consistent basis that maybe also wants to get their name out there, and then it would be half the cost.
Yeah, fair point.
There you go. That's one of those moments. Boom, right? There you go. Another way to do that. Excellent. Perfect. All right, good. So yeah, just
Financial Friday, Darren. I've got money on the brain. What can I say?
We all do. That's a consistent thing, but excellent. But you'll see there's so many different ways that you can get your message out there. Be as creative as you can be when it comes to that. Set yourself apart, but create that engagement. Talk to folks and find out what works for you. You're going to know right away that if something's not working, or what is working. You're going to start to see that return. Okay. What else? Any other questions?
Quick question. This is Mohammed. How long do you typically go and focus on one of these approaches until you say this is not working and I should try something else? Is there any specific kind of thoughts or advice on that thread for each marketing approach?
No, not necessarily. You're going to probably figure out pretty quickly. One thing that you can do is that if you start getting phone calls, or you start getting inquiries, ask the person, say, hey, how did you hear about me? Oh, well, my cousin, bought a home with you last week or something like that. Okay, great, referral. Or say, yeah, I saw your card in the pizza shop when I went to get a pizza on Friday, and that's how it worked. Or, hey, I saw your Frisbee. My neighbor was playing with a Frisbee and it had your picture and your logo on there, and I saw that it landed in our yard. And before I threw it back over, I took down your name, something like that. So you can ask them, say, how did you hear about me? And then you'll start to figure out what it is it's, whether or not it's effective.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? All right, so let's take a look at some questions here. And you actually have these questions, I believe, on page 5 in your booklet there, okay? Let's take a look at the first one. So how do you know where the customer, whoops, sorry. Ooh, there we go. How do you know where the customer is and how do you meet them there? So how do you know where the customer is and how do you meet them there? And Mohammed, this may actually play off of what you just said there too, because if you're really trying to focus on something, all right, and you're really trying to market to a specific, town or something like that, this plays into that. But how do we know? How do we meet them there? I'm sorry, there's too many people talking at once. Can we just dial it back here and, have 1 or 2 of you at a time?
Just be engaged in your community.
Yeah.
Know what's going on where you live. I think everywhere you go is a potential client.
Right, right. Ask yourself this, all right? Who do you want to be in business with? Right? Who do you want to be in business? Like say, something, I want to be, the king of Worcester, or, I want to be the king of first-time home buyers, or I want to be the king of short sales or something like that. All right, whatever it is. I want to be the master, whatever it is. All right. Once you start to find what your niche is, okay, you're going to know how to really drill in and find folks. We have a woman who was on our team who just nearly capped this past couple of months, but she actually found her niche by accident. She started dealing with some folks who happen to be seniors, and what they were doing is they're selling their house and going into a 55 and older community or some of the other, communities like that. And there's actually a designation for people who work with seniors in our state that can help them in that transition. So she went out, she got the additional licensing. She partnered with somebody else who was actually in the insurance business who specialized in things like long-term care and things like that. So now the two of them hold seminars once a month and they actually share the referrals that come out of that. And she's branded herself as a specialist in that area. And again, I mean, she's well on her way. She's going to cap in 6 months now that she's started her new year here too, but she's doing a phenomenal business because of that. What else? Anybody have anything else? All right, how about the second one? How do you communicate your value proposition? Does everybody know what a value proposition is?
You need to know your market.
Yep, okay. Anybody want to share their value proposition? Anybody know what a value proposition is? Let's go back and let's take a look at that, all right? Value proposition is something that's unique to you, okay? And it's something that usually what you're doing is you're identifying a point of pain with folks, all right? And it's got some sort of emotional tie. It resonates with the folks that you're addressing it to, okay? Yes, it can be like a elevator pitch, something that you do. If you're standing in line at the grocery store and the person in front of you wants to buy a house, you say, hey, I'm a realtor, use me. There's nothing there. But if you're working, let's say you're working with first-time home buyers and you say like, listen, it's important for me to work with first-time home buyers because I grew up in a household that we used to rent, and we used to move from year to year to year because the lease would just get too expensive. And it was a single parent household, and I saw how my mother was struggling, and I don't want to see another family go through that. So for me, it's important to make sure that I get first-time home buyers into the home of their dreams so they can build equity and they don't have to do that, right? So that's a way that you can actually set yourself apart and have your value proposition. So does anybody have a value proposition? And if so, how do you communicate that?
Express experience, express understanding where they're coming from, try to understand their situation, you know, a lot of empathy with it, and then you're trying to get them to move forward, to understand if you could qualify to meet their needs or to help them get to their goal, maybe not today, but always keep in contact with them until they're ready and saying, you can do this.
Yep, yep. Marie, that's a great point, because you know, you just talked about the whole emotional tie, how it resonates, and helping them, having that empathy. That's fantastic. That's good. Here's the thing that you can do too. If you really want to nail down your value proposition, and it's going to change, it's going to constantly change. You're probably going to be repeating it in your mind as you're driving in the car, things like that. But think about the things that are important to you, and think about what it is that you want to project when you talk to somebody and how you want to help people, the empathy factor, right? Then, if you really want to get that value proposition that's out there, okay, record yourself and then post it on your social media feeds so that everybody around you can see what it is that you're all about, right? Because number one, all right, that helps you to really nail it down, right? And number two, all right, it holds you to that value proposition because now you've broadcasted to everybody that's out there, okay? And now you've shared it with everyone, so they're going to hold you to that.
Darren, what is your value proposition?
My value proposition as a productivity coach, okay, I'm here to make sure that agents didn't go through what I went through when I first started, because I struggled when I first began. I looked for help, I didn't have it, and I got frustrated to the point I was about to quit before I had my first transaction. And I swore that I would not want anybody else to have to go through what I went through. So that's why I'm in coaching. And that's why I came to Keller Williams, because they actually had the position here. They didn't have it at the last firm that I was at. They didn't have the resources, okay? So for me, I want to make sure that every agent that I work with, all right, has the ability to succeed, can make that phone call, can get that question answered, can make sure that they get their business going, okay? I'm like their guardian angel, or the father that's running behind them with their hand under the seat while they're riding the bike. Training wheels came off, right? I want to make sure that they can pedal that bike and they can be on their own. And I want to see everybody be successful in real estate and not have to struggle like I did. So that's my value proposition.
I have one I can share.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Kelly.
I have it written, and so I don't have it verbatim, but this is what I say to people, and it is my value proposition. I was a military wife for over 20 years, and moving around the country, moving to different areas was always a daunting task, but it was so important to me as a mom and as a wife to make every place we lived our home, not just a house that we lived in. And that didn't always mean that there was military housing available. I wanted to live in the community, and it was always important to know the community that I lived in. So it is my value proposition that I can now help military families coming here to get just that. I don't want them to not know about the school systems. I want them to know about the community, what's available for them, for their children, how they can be involved, whether they're going to be here for 20 years or for 3 years. It's really important for me to help them find the home, the house that will be their home while they're here.
That's great. That's great. Kelly, that's awesome. That's fantastic. And thank you and to your spouse for your service as well too. But that's excellent. That's perfect. You found your niche, your value proposition, you got everything wrapped up in there.
So how do you guys communicate that? What are you guys doing to get that out there?
I put it on, it's on like I have a Facebook page. I put that, like I write a little, almost like a bio on there. I put that on there. I put it on all my social media. At my old company, I had a website that I had that on. It was like on there as an introduction to me so that people would know. And then I go to the like I network with the base here so that incoming families, I give them a packet with my information. I share now, you know, there's not as much in-person stuff. So I have, I created a link to for my Facebook page, and then for my website that I give to the base, to the Family Service Center, and to the base liaison, so that they can share that information, and they're welcome. I've given them my permission to share that with any family that's coming in, so that it's out there and anyone can reach out to me at any time. And I'm still working on like more things to do that. There actually were events every single year that here in Maine at the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard that they would hold for new families coming in. They would call it a spring fling, and then they did a back to school. And I would attend those things as well. But we're not doing that, of course, now. So trying to find new ways to put that out there.
Does anyone have a hard time coming up with what their value proposition is?
I do. I'm having a hard time because I'm thinking a lot about this and about kind of what listening to what Darren said, where he stated his value proposition as a productivity coach. That was kind of a perfect example of what was running through my mind, thinking about how I think you really need to have multiple value propositions. You know, his value proposition as a productivity coach is obviously not the value proposition that he's going to give to his potential clients. That's a different value proposition. When he's, as a real estate agent, he's going to have a different value proposition. So, and I'm thinking about the example that Darren gave of the agent who's just started working with seniors. She's going to have a great value proposition that differentiates herself as someone who's an expert in that market. And she can say that she can add value in that way by being an expert in the senior living arena and helpful in that way. But she's not going to want to give that value proposition out to just anyone in an elevator who's not a senior, because that's not going to be relevant to them. She's going to want to have a few different value propositions in her pocket, so to speak, you know, and that's where I'm kind of having trouble, especially as someone who's new, thinking, really, what is my value that is universal, that's going to appeal to multiple people? You know, is it better for me right now to focus on one group of folks to target and to market to and say, this is, you know, this is what I love, this is where I add value, this is who I can help? And in doing so, am I just almost neglecting and casting aside a whole host of other potential clients that are out there? Or I don't know.
One thing I would think about is, so, and Darren, let me know what your comments are on this. But the reason I asked is I know that a lot of agents that I work with struggle with this. And a lot of times it might take us a while to get that true niche that we want to be known for, right? At the end of the day, the majority of us want to make the smoothest transaction for our clients. Another thing you might think of is, you know, in your life and the people that you're surrounded with and your core group of, you know, friends and family and everyone, what are the questions that come up with the most? So for instance, if you are, you know, in your early 20s, you might have a lot of people who are looking to move up. They're maybe renting right now and they're looking to make their first purchase. If you are someone who, you know, is, I'll just say maybe my age or a little older, you might notice that a lot of people around you are, when their kids are graduating college, they're looking to move down. So maybe that's something you want to think about. If you don't know yet, maybe it is, you know, your value proposition is that you are making the transaction as seamless and as stress-free as possible. And then you think about, well, how could I do that? Right? So rather than stopping, because I know a lot of us, when we can't and this is just normal behavior, if we can't get to that, oh, I don't know what makes me different, or I don't know what I could offer to people, we stop and we just kind of try to, I'm just not going to do that part, right? That's normal. So even if we just want to say, you know what, my goal right now, my value proposition right now to anyone I'm going to work with is to make it, you know, a smooth transaction, to ease their stress, because it is a very stressful process for people buying and selling. It really, really is. So how can I offer value to them?
Can I add, I want to add
Great,
something to that. I think based on what you just said, Sarah, as well as you, Jessica, I'm very new. I'm a month in, and I just had to take a phone call, so I missed the first part. But with a value proposition, I just heard the word like your niche, and so I would put those in two different categories. Your value proposition could come from being brand new. Mine, I think of, is how can I be of service and helpful to people? I want to, I've been in the service industry for the past 17 years, and there is a large amount of people who choose not to listen. They think I'm the professional and I don't need to listen to anything you say. So from mine, it's not being like that. I'm going to sit back and listen. What do you want? Then I'm going to insert my professionalism into that. How can I get you there realistically? So that's my value proposition. Mm-hmm. Later on, once I'm more experienced, I think that's where it might hone down into, I want to be a coach, or I want to work with elderly people, or I want to do sales, or I want to do buying. That's when we can maybe hone in. But for now, what do we offer? I offer listening, and I offer valuable advice. And I offer, if I don't know the answer, that I will find it because I have the resources. So I think it's okay if we don't know what our special technique is yet. We're brand new, or maybe we're not brand new, but we just love doing maybe your special technique is that you have a large array of gifts and you can help many different people. So that's kind of how I view value proposition, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to change over time. We talked about that. It's going to evolve and it's going to change over time. And you're going to run through this in your head millions of times. All right. The value proposition that I had 6 months ago is probably different than what I have now. Could be. But you've got to basically take a step back and say, all right, what makes me unique? What makes me special? All right. Now we probably have no idea what we want to do. When we first start off, we have no idea which direction we want to go and what we want to do, what value to offer. So ask the people that are closest to you, friends, family, people that you know, and say, hey, what do you like about me? What do I do well? What is it that makes me unique, special? Have them tell you. You'd be surprised what people come back with. All right. I had a couple of people do this and they came back and they said, wow, I had no idea, first of all. And then they incorporated that into their value proposition. And think of it this way. If you were in a room with 4 or 5 other agents, right, and the homeowner came in and said, why should I use you to either buy or sell a house? Okay. What are you going to say? I'm a great agent. Yay. All right.
I'm going to listen to you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great path to go down, because how many people complain about people not listening to them, right? That's what happens. So I think we had somebody who raised their hand here too. I think Annie raised her hand. I think she wanted to chat. Did she have a question or something like that too?
I had taken a class a long time ago about doing like an elevator pitch where you're going to add your value and you do it in like 30 seconds or less. Mm-hmm. And they said basically when you think about that show Shark Tank, when the people come up with their product, they only have that few seconds to really
hear me?
Wow them. So maybe that's something to work on, that you just automatically do it.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point.
I put that in the chat. Thanks Shark Tank show.
There you go. Yes, Annie, we can hear you now.
Okay, thanks. What I was going to say was I haven't written my value proposition yet, but I have been waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning quite a few days in a row, playing it out in my head. And I saw this one guy on one of the real estate forums. He posted a video of himself. Hi, this is so-and-so. I'm licensed with so-and-so. So basically it was an about me video, and it was very short and very sweet and authentic, and I loved it. And so I've been writing down those scripts in my mind. And I was just going to recommend that maybe people do that. Sit down and write out a script, maybe scribble out the middle part and write it out again. Like if you had to do a 45-second video, what would you want to say? Then come back the next day and maybe repiece it together or reframe it and rewrite it again. And then maybe ask your spouse to maybe listen to you say it, film you on the cell phone. So I think I'm going to keep doing that over and over until I get a really good sounding 45-second video. And then out of that, I'll try to glean my elevator speech from that.
Annie, think of one thing. If someone says to you, Annie, what do you do? And your response is, I'm a realtor. What do you think that person's first thought is?
I think that person's first thought is, I'm a salesperson. And I don't think I would tell them I'm a realtor. I'd say I'm in the business of helping people, and I happen to be a real estate agent. And real estate agent for me was an opportunity to check off all the boxes of things that were important to me and be able to make a living.
Well, there you go. You've got a great start. Most people, when we hear I'm a realtor, in their head, they're thinking, wow, I know 50 realtors, right?
Oh,
when you respond with something like that, or if you, I mean, I knew someone who used to respond with, I'm a real estate superhero, and people would go, what? It always responded some sort of tell me more, what does that mean? You know,
Right.
something to engage conversation. So that's just something to think about, right? Then he could get into his value proposition with that. So don't overthink it, just kind of let it flow. It's gonna come to you, hopefully not at 2 o'clock in the morning. Hopefully you can sleep then.
Get some sleep, boy.
Well, it always happens when you have to get up and go to the bathroom and get some water, and then your mind starts racing and you're like, okay, this is going to be a 2-hour marathon trying to get back to sleep, but I digress.
Hey, you help people realize their real estate dreams, things like that. You know, there's all kinds of different things. So, Al, you have a question there too?
Yeah, sorry. Thanks, Darren. Quick question. Would you advise using the actual words value proposition in your value proposition, like in any printed or marketing material? Sarah just mentioned something about that a second ago. Like my value proposition to you, or my value to you is da 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 da, whatever it is. Would you advise that? There's something about that that kind of grabs your attention if you're offering value to someone and they see that, you know, they see those words. I think it kind of grabs them. Would you advise that?
I almost think it would just be, Sarah, you want to go? Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I probably wouldn't say that, because then people would be like, what? I maybe would say what I offer to you, or show them. I mean, it's always good for them to realize this is what's in it for them, essentially, right? What is it that they're going to experience? What is it that's going to benefit to them? I think that, I don't know, for me, and you know, maybe this is my little voice in my head, but if I were to write out my value proposition is, I just think that it would start to question, well, what's a value proposition, instead of what can I do to help them? But that's just me.
Awesome. All right, thank you.
I would say the same thing. I think it's a great point that Sarah said, because if you say like my value proposition is, and then you write it out, it's going to sound too scripted. It's got to be natural. It's got to be, you know, emotional. It's got to resonate. And if you say like, I'm a realtor, my value proposition is, it's just not going to come across. Whereas if you say like, hey, listen, I'm here to help you get the house of your dreams, or something along those lines, then it's going to be like, oh, okay, I know it. So what you could do is you could start off with that when you write it out, my value proposition is, and then write a page, 2, 3, 4 pages, right? Like how many of us had English teachers way back when? Like when I was in school and we used to carve things into granite, that's how long ago it was. You know, you get the 2 or 3, you know, pages worth of things, and they say, all right, now make it smaller, make it smaller, make it smaller. So you go from 2 pages to 1 page. You know, you get 4 paragraphs down to 2 paragraphs, down to 1 paragraph, down to 1 sentence, right? If you can keep condensing, and just leave the most important thing, that's going to be what your value proposition is. And it's going to always change, you know, it's going to constantly just evolve over time. And pretty soon you're just going to be able to say it, and without even like thinking about it, it's going to come out so naturally. It's going to be great.
It's great.
Hi.
Thanks, guys.
Hi, this is Ronnie. In looking at the value proposition, I actually took the first paragraph of my bio that I posted to the website, because in engaging someone, if someone asked me, you know, well, what do? You're a realtor? And I might say, yes. Are you looking to sell or buy? You know, a realtor is one that helped my husband and I when we were looking for our first home, because we had 2 boys, very active. You know, you want to have space for them to do biking and roller skating in a backyard. Well, believe me, I learned from the realtor that helped me, and they were able to find us the place that was our dream home. So in a family-friendly neighborhood, and now they're looking for their own. But when you work with me, you're receiving a knowledgeable, dedicated professional that'll help streamline your buying or selling your home. That's kind of what I'm working from, that that type of an engagement, in order to show like the type of value I might add to someone that asks me, hey, what do you do for a living? Or what are you doing? Or if you see the Keller Williams.
Ronnie, that's good. That's really good. That's excellent. And you know what you're going to do over time is you're going to take all of that, and it's just going to be embedded in your brain, and you're going to be, every time you're going to say it, it's going to get smoother, and it's going to evolve and change, and it's just going to be so seamless when you say that, and it's just going to become your elevator pitch, your value proposition. That's
I have to practice.
Hey, there's that magic word, the P word, practice, right? Practice. How many of us want to hear that practice word one more time? Right? Yeah, exactly. So, but that's what happens, right? The only way for us to get better is practice. And the value proposition is like a script. We script practice. We practice with our value proposition. It's what's going to set us apart and get us in this game for the long term.
Darren, do you practice like it's your job?
All the time. All the time. How about you, Sarah?
Absolutely.
It's essential in this business, right? I mean, we have to set aside time in our schedule. I know we talked about time blocking in one of the earlier sessions, I think earlier this week, but you've got to put time into practice, right? We don't just jump in with both feet and say, yep, ready to go. I mean, nobody else does that. Actors, doctors, lawyers, you know, athletes, you got to practice. You got to set that aside in your schedule, right? Perfect. All right. So let's check out some of these other questions here. How about how can we come from contribution or connect in a meaningful way? We may have touched on a little bit on this, but you know, what's 1 or 2 ways that we can do that?
So I recently was asked to write a letter to my neighbors. I live in a small neighborhood, and there's probably about 17 houses within this little neighborhood. And I've been here for about 8 years, and I've only gotten to know a handful of the folks that live in this neighborhood. So when I started doing this and I joined a team, my team leader said, you've got to get your name out there, and you've got to let people know that you are in real estate now. So one of the suggestions was, why don't you let your neighbors know who you are, that you happen to be in real estate. So my struggle was, okay, these are my neighbors. I want to make sure that I do this from a position of contribution and not just, hey neighbor, guess what? I'm in real estate. You want to buy or sell your house?
Right.
Hit me up. Right. So my letter was introducing myself, but also saying, hey, you know, we live in Rhode Island, and if you're a native Rhode Islander like I am, you're familiar with the term, I got a guy. But the trouble is, you know, you don't always know if that guy is reputable or licensed or trustworthy. And I just want to let you know that I happen to be a real estate agent, and I said with Keller Williams and the D. Webster team, and I'm here to help you. If you guys are looking for someone to do services at your house, and you're looking for a contractor or service provider, as an agent, I have access to a whole host of reputable service providers. So please let me know if I can help you in any way. I'm right here. I'd really love to meet you too. So don't hesitate to stop if you see me walking my dog, or come over and say hi, whatever. So that was basically the gist of my letter, and put it out there. So that, I just thought I'd share that example of a way to come through from a source of contribution that way, if it's helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. What you've done is you've offered value, right? We're not asking anything from them. We're offering something, right? We're not asking them to say like, hey, call me if you want to buy, sell it. No, it's like, hey, listen, I'm offering my services. If you've got something that you need to do real estate related, reach out to me. I have a vested interest because I live in this neighborhood. So I want to make sure that we're able to buy and sell and maximizing the values and things like that. So I live here. This is my neighborhood too. So use me for whenever you need something. And that's perfect. That's a great example. That's very good. We actually have a member of our ALC who admitted in an email that she sent to some folks here that she never went around her neighborhood to let them know that she was a realtor. And it kind of, basically bit her because 3 houses down, somebody used another agent to list their house and she was mad. So she showed us a letter saying like, hey, by the way, I'm a realtor. Yes, it's my fault, but don't use anybody else. Use me, and stuff like that. So it was kind of funny, but sometimes that slips your mind. Your own neighbors, right? You think they know, but maybe they don't. So good. All right. So how about the next question? How important do you think branding and aesthetic consistency is in your marketing, and how do you achieve it? All right. Actually, I'm going to show an example of this here. Hold on a second. All right. So if this was a piece of marketing material, if everybody can see this, that I wanted to actually show my neighbors or just hand out as a flyer, what do you think the response rate is going to be for something like this?
I'd call you.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Well, Sarah,
Why did you get your hands on my latest flyer?
Yes, Eric actually supplied this, so that's why we're using this here. So, but yeah, it's pretty generic. Maybe it'll get you some attention, maybe not. But if we actually did something like this, right? And we're actually going to see this in a little bit. All right, Sarah's going to show us how to go about doing this, but this makes a big difference versus the other one, right? Okay, how you present yourself and how you show yourself, how you brand yourself, okay, makes all the difference in the world. And this is something that created in Command and Designs in 5 minutes. So this is the key to making sure that you're out there, you're showing your value proposition, your professionalism, right? Makes a big difference how you go about presenting yourself and showing yourself out there, right? Anybody have any thoughts on that?
Well, actually, this is part of my sticking point. Like when you say branding and then consistency, I'm scared being brand new that I'm going to start out incorrectly and have like a bad, kind of first perception or whatever before I know enough about the marketing or the templates or the things I don't know yet, Any thoughts on that?
We've covered this. I know, I think Tim has brought it up a couple times. I've heard him mention it. I know we mentioned it one time, but how many times do you have to get in front of people before your message is solidified? The fact that you're a real estate agent? About 8 to 10 times, right? 8 to 10 times. So you pretty much have about 7 times of going out there to kind of get it right before it really solidifies. So even if you put something out there and it's not to your liking or whatever, right? You're being a little too hard on yourself. Just put out whatever you have out there. Let them know that you're there. It's going to take a while for that message to sink in and to get in there. So you have plenty of opportunities to get in front of people to show them what it is that you do and the value that you offer before it solidifies and everybody says, yes, Stacy's the one that I want to use. I got a question. I got a neighbor. I got a friend, a coworker. She's the person. She's my real estate go-to person.
I just did an announcement. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's just the announcement. And I just sent them out. I typed it up on one of the websites that I got advertisement for as soon as I became, licensed. And so I just typed up like a little friends and family thing. I've gotten some feedback on it. I have a buying meeting tomorrow. So anyway, that was a really easy, as a brand new person who's a little nervous, way to get it out there. I did this with a business card and a magnet, and I just sent them to everyone. So that's like a really easy, not very scary way to start.
Hey, Stacy, I'll just tell you a personal story. I think I mentioned it last time I taught this class, but in my neighborhood, you have about 300 houses. So I sent out postcards when I was at the last company I was at. And there was actually a teacher in our neighborhood, a couple streets over, who was teaching. One of my kids was in our class and stuff like that. And I sent out the postcards, and she came in the next day. She told my, I think it was my daughter, said, "Hey, I got your father's postcard. That's fantastic. Did you know that they misspelled his name?" Which they did, because I didn't bother to double check the proof before it went out. So, you talk about making mistakes. That's a perfect example of it. But I'm still here today, so it didn't really do much damage. So it happens.
Aaron, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
When you do your door hangers or you send out your postcard, how often should you do a follow-up? Should you go like 2 weeks after you put them out, a month after you put them out, or how long should you wait just to do the follow-up?
For me, I always say that as soon as you know when they go out, okay, then I would say wait a week, call them up and say, "Hey, just wanted to let you just ask and see, did you get my postcard?" Okay, and have that conversation with them. Another great thing that you can do is in Smart Plans in Command is set yourself up on put a Smart Plan out there, either create it or there's got to be one that's out there now that the library has been open that pretty much basically says, okay, I've sent the postcards. A week later, I'm going to get a task that comes up that says, hey, reach out to the first 10 people on that list, make sure they got the postcard, see if they have any needs or questions, and then go from there.
How do you get the person's number though? The numbers to your neighbor's home just to reach out to them by phone. Where do we get those numbers from?
I know that there's online truepeoplesearch.com is one that you can use to actually get that, but you do have to be careful because they have the do not call list, okay, the do not call lists that are out there. So if you know the person, it's much easier to do that. If you don't know them, there might be a service that's out there. I don't know, but you've got to be very careful about that, all right? I would even say that, if they're in your neighborhood, if you're walking around, you can actually do it on the weekend, walk around and people are outside, say, hey, I don't know if you know me, but I'm Joyce, I live in your neighborhood. Wanted to make sure that you got my postcard, something like that. That might make it easier.
Thank you.
Hey, Darren, she can go on our call directory as well. They have a lot of phone numbers. They can identify addresses, obviously, but a lot of phone numbers too. Whether they're on a do not call list, I do not know. That's something she'd have to go on and find out before she makes moves.
And Al, where can I find that?
I'm sorry, say again?
Where did you say I can find the numbers from?
Call directory or call real estate resource, I believe it's called.
The thing you have to be careful of is the do not call list. That's huge. We don't want to advocate doing that. So if you have a way to cross-reference that, which I know it's not easy, but I know that you can do, I think, individual numbers of the do not call list. You just have to be very, very careful about that. All right. You definitely do not want to cross that line and put yourself or your broker in jeopardy on that. So make sure that you have that and that you have some way of, there are database services that are out there that will do that for you as well. So just be careful about that.
So when
Joyce,
you go
if you're
to that
just
do
doing
not
a
call list, do we register as a telemarketer? I was just on there looking at how do you get the list of numbers? Do you have to register yourself?
Yes, and I believe there's a fee as well. And there are different companies that you can use that will do that for you. But one thing I have for you is if you are postcard marketing or dropping off things, door knockers, whatever it is you're doing, and you're using that as a lead generation source, you're obviously keeping to a small neighborhood to start, right? We want to lead with revenue. We don't want to be spending all this money. Then maybe you follow up once a month, right? And those are the people you don't know yet, right? These are strictly marketing. And you can't necessarily follow up with them with a phone call until they give you that phone number, right? And if they do that, that's also meaning, you know what? if they give you their number, or if they register on your site, or if they follow up with you, you don't have to worry about the do not call list. It's also, it's not a cold call, right? If they're giving you their information, that's a warm call. So if you're starting and really focusing on talking to the people that you do know, and that is your main focus, and then with the marketing and the things that you're doing. So you mentioned, you know, door knocking or dropping off stuff in the neighborhood. Keep it as that, you know, every single month, maybe you drop something off until those, and you will end up converting, not everyone, of course, but a lot of those people into people that you know.
I can't find these postcards.
Good, okay. So that leads us into essentially the last question here. So how do or how should you follow up the leads generated from your marketing? Right? We mentioned it. What's one thing that Command offers that allows us to stay organized?
Oh, you make sure that you set them up in your opportunities and the fact, and just keep track of what you've posted so far. If you've sent out the postcards, if you followed a note, if you've given them a call or sent an email. I mean, you just really have to put the information in Command.
What's an easy way to automate all that follow-up?
Smart plans?
Smart plans, right, exactly. So it's a combination of opportunities and smart plans. So yep, you're both right on that one. So excellent, excellent, very good, very good. Yep, we got some people that are throwing that in the chat as well too. So perfect, all right. So any questions on this up to this point? Any questions?
I just want to say something real quick.
Yeah.
In another business that I'm involved in, we've done a lot talking about Facebook and posting on Facebook. And the biggest thing with Facebook is just being consistent and knowing when the specific best times are to post. They say usually it's 8 a.m. Between 1 and 3, and then 8 p.m. because those are the times that people tend to be on Facebook the most. So if you commit to saying in Command, you know, I'm going to post every morning a good morning, some kind of how are you doing, some kind of inspirational post, and then maybe an informational post at night. That's just a really good way to stay consistent.
Great job. No, absolutely, absolutely. I've heard that lunchtime too is a great time to post because everybody, while they're sitting there eating their sandwich, is going through their phone. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
All right. Okay, so let's move on here. Okay, so, all right. So now we're going to talk about how do we utilize everything we talked about now for marketing, right? And put that into Command and have Command help us with whatever the plan is that we're going to be coming up with. All right. So we are actually going to be talking about design. So do we want to take a break at this point, or do we want to continue to do this portion of it? What does everybody think here?
Quick 10-minute break and then get into this.
Okay, 10-minute break. So we are at 10:15. So why don't we come back, have everybody come back at 10:25, and we'll jump into designs in Command. All right, sound good?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. See you in 10 minutes.
Darren, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
I'm trying to order my signs for listing. I have a listing in a couple of weeks that I'm going to be doing, and there's so many different options. Is there just a basic, like this is where you start, like start with a 24 by 36 or 18 by 32, or what kind of post, you know?
For a listing sign or open house sign, you're talking specifically for the listing sign that's out there?
Like what you would put in the yard of the property that you're going to be selling?
Do you have anybody in your office that works with the vendor that you use for the sign, or is kind of like a
Yes, and I went to that website. I'm looking at it now, and it has, the Keller Williams. It's already been approved by Jason. But I just want to make sure, I mean, as far as the lettering and everything, but there's so many little details. It's like what kind of, do you want corrugated plastic? Do you want metal? Do you want aluminum? Do you want,
Yeah, there's a lot of options, and you just wish it was simple where you push a button and like, tell me what I need, right? Tell me what I need.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Start here.
Yeah, exactly. I say keep it as simple as possible. Do you have a person, like an agent services coordinator in your office that?
Yeah, I've already spoken with all of them. They're wonderful. They're very helpful.
Okay.
I just didn't know if
Yeah, have they given you examples of maybe what other people are using in the office?
Yep.
Because that might be,
Okay.
okay.
Aaron did that with me, yes.
Good, okay, all right. Yeah, there's no tried or true style, design, type, or anything like that. It's really up to you. It's really a matter of your preference. When it comes to the design feature, I always say that the simpler, the better. But there are factors that you have to take in. I like the heavier signs myself. I prefer those, like the metal ones, only because of the fact that, we're in the Northeast, so weather tends to get crazy, whether it's the summer, fall, winter, spring, a lot of rain, a lot of wind, things like that. So you want something that's going to be durable, stay upright, or stay on the hooks, I should say. So those are things that I've preferred, that I've seen in the past, but it's really more a matter of, what's the standard in your office? What are the things that most people are using there?
Yeah. It's not so much the design, it's like the what size post, how, I don't know. It's just, there's so many different things that you have to consider. And I'm one of those that stares at 15 cans of green beans to figure out which one is the best.
You know what I would say, Hope? I would just say that pick one and go with it, and you probably won't be wrong. Okay, with all those choices, it's just more a matter of just grab one, go with it, and you should be good.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, if we try to second guess and overcomplicate it, we're just going to drive ourselves crazy. So. And if you do that too many times, you end up losing your hair. Let me know. Let me tell you, I can speak from personal experience. So.
I prefer to keep my hair, even though it's blonde.
Very good. Very good.
So Darren, I'm laughing. The leaf blowers keep going past my window. So it'll be great for me to talk. So.
Well, the funny thing is too, is that we've actually had an issue with part of the heating and ventilation system in our office. So they chose today to come in to work on it. So I shut the door, and every once in a while, the vent above me kicks in, and you can hear a lot of banging going back and forth. At least I can hear it. I don't know if it's coming through. So yeah, we're both in the same predicament here.
We just had a 10-minute fire drill in Portsmouth, so that was fun.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's all on today. We're getting our leaves blown and fires drilled.
Oh boy.
That's all right. Yesterday, right outside of, my window here, it's right near the front door into the building, and they were having, I think it was flu shots.
Oh, no.
But there were people lined up. There were tables and people. And of course, I'm just teaching on Zoom and I'm doing whatever. And everyone's like, what's going on behind me? And I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I haven't left my seat. I don't know.
It's like your Good Morning America with downtown New York, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like, and here in downtown Andover, let's look at what's happening.
Yeah,
Somebody's holding up a plaque and
Nathan
saying,
just moved downstairs in Portsmouth. So we have in between his downstairs suite and our middle lobby door to come upstairs is a Clear Choice Medical. So there's a bunch of people waiting for their COVID test, and they're all milling about outside Susanna and Ann's window. And Nate's on like regional director calls and talking to Gary, and there's like people up against the glass like it's a polar bear tank.
And they're hacking. And they're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it's delicious. Yes. We get the windows washed every 30 minutes.
oh my gosh.
We
I
actually
haven't been to your
have
office in a long time.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No,
Oh no, I was just gonna say I haven't been up to Portsmouth in a while. I feel like it's been too long. I need an excuse to come up there, Tim.
Yeah, come swing through. We haven't changed a thing on it. Well, we did change the training room. We made a few more, we made 3 more offices, and there was a sort of a dead space in the training room that we sort of carved out. So we can still hold 50 lightweights. If anybody's had too many cookies, it's down to 49, but we don't hold anybody right now because we're not really playing indoors, as it were. So
Yeah, you're only a half hour away from where I live. I want to say the last time I was up there for a closing. It was a very nice closing in your conference room.
oh, very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be a stranger. Swing up here anytime you want.
I'm thinking of all the restaurants and places I like to shop up there, and I'm like, can I make this into something?
It's a good place to
And I
be.
don't even like to shop. It's just fun places I like kind of odd things. So, fun, odd places.
Yeah. I've never been to your office ever.
Come down.
No, I've been to Merrimack Valley, which I refuse to call it that. I'll call it Westford because that's where it is.
Yeah.
My parents, I grew up in Chelmsford. My parents are in Chelmsford, so I drive past Andover. But
Well,
are
we're
you
right
familiar
off
with
of 93.
Salvatore's in Andover? The restaurant Salvatore's?
Well, do you go to the one in, because my family, we go to the one in Andover and we go to the one in Lawrence. So it just depends on where we're at.
Yeah, so I grew up with all those meatheads, the Lapoli family, God bless them. So, my good friend, actually my oldest son Aiden's godfather, my good friend Kevin Branco, is he's the one that owns it with Sal in Andover. So
Well, that's
I
my
was
kid's favorite one to go to is the Andover one.
Yeah.
We end up doing takeout a lot. We actually, like 2 nights ago, from the one in Lawrence, but if we're going to go eat there,
Yeah.
my 13-year-old is devastated when they take calamari off the menu because he thinks no one's calamari is as good as Salvatore's.
Awesome. I'll tell Kevin, he'll be pleased. And he looks like a fake Italian. He's Portuguese, so he can sort of pull it off. Yeah, well, he's been through hell the last couple of years. They obviously dealt with COVID. Before that, they had the Merrimack Valley gas explosions.
Yeah.
So he was down for the count for a bit. So like he's just looking forward to like 12 straight months of selling manicotti uninterrupted,
Well, my family, the 4 of us, should at least help keep him in business. It's at least once a week we get takeout from there.
Good.
So
Good to know.
Would he accept a standing order of 1 a month for the next year?
Probably.
All right. Well, it looks like it's 10:25. I want to get going here. At least what I have on my clock. So, Sarah, if we want to jump in and start getting going with designs, that'd be great. Let's see here.
all right, so I'm going to stop your sharing and let's see here. All right, so I'm just going to put a little announcement out that so on Monday, I think my sharing has an issue. Hold on one second. Okay. Monday, there's not going to be Ignite. They have decided with Yom Kippur that they're going to take the day. So we're going to be back on the 29th. So we'll repeat that again at the end. I just pulled it up on the Facebook page for this session of Ignite. Just wanted to make sure everybody was aware. So I know that we have all different levels of where people are at with technology and with command. So what I want to do is give you guys a good overview without being too in-depth. So any questions that come in, please feel free. I just want to make sure that you guys have a really good idea of how to use designs, or at least the basics of it. So just again, we're in command. If you click on the KW in the red box, you will notice that all of the titles for all of the different applets pop up. Just if you're ever in a place where you can't remember what something is, just click on that KW. So we're going to go right into designs. Again, when you come into designs, what you see on the screen are things you've already done. So if you don't see something here in this space, that means you just haven't done anything. And I know this causes confusion for a lot of agents. Another thing is these little buttons up at the top that say email, landing page, social, print. Those are things that will sort what you've already done. So again, if you've never created an email, you won't have one in here. We just got a new email editor, so that's why that's all blanked out. But any landing pages that you do will come under the landing page, social posts, print items, website pages, and your videos. So I wanted to point that out as well, because a lot of times agents just go, well, I don't see anything. I want to create an email, or I want to create a social post. There's nothing there. That's because what shows up when you click on those buttons at the top is just sorting what you've already done. To actually create something in designs, you need to come down to the bottom right of your screen where you have the teal circle with the plus sign in it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And you'll notice that 5 buttons come up. We have email, social, print, video, or importing a PDF. I'm just going to briefly say, when you import a PDF that was created in command, you can edit almost every single part of it. If you import a PDF that was created who knows where by who knows who, it could come in a little funky. I'm just going to put that out there. We're going to start today talking about print and social. I'm just going to click on the print icon, and I'm going to click the next button. This takes us into a product from a company called WeBrand that we have partnered with at Keller Williams. And the way that this window works, once we are in here, you'll see at the top we have templates or my designs. Right now we're going to talk about templates. And down the left-hand side, you will see categories, right? So the default, when you first open it, it comes into my app. Then you have listings, buyer, and all these different things going down. These are categories. So think of this as, what is my message? And then when I go through the different categories, I want you to look at the top, because you'll see here it says jumbo postcards. It has Instagram in here, flyers, large postcards, standard postcards, right? Those are more sizes for different things. And it looks like my window has frozen, so I'm just going to refresh it. Okay, so when I click on the different sizes at the top, right, these are giving us pretty much the same image, but formatted to a different size. So for instance, if I look between standard postcards or large postcards, they're really just taller, right? The height is a little bit bigger. Jumbo postcards are going to be both higher and longer. They're just a physically bigger postcard. As I move down, and if I click on listings on the left, you're going to see there's all different subcategories in there. Listing presentation, because I'm in print, would be what you would actually print for a listing presentation. If I click on for sale, you're going to see that I have a lot of different options here. It's starting off with door hangers. I could go to flyers, standard postcards, and so on. I could keep coming across. There's several different size options. One thing I want you to think of is that each one of these is an image. So for instance, if you love, I'm just going to pick one, this one right here that says this is a keeper with the little half circle, but you don't want it to say this is a keeper, you're going to be able to change the text. It's just an image. So you can go through any of these categories, and I'm not quite sure why, Darren, but my screen keeps freezing here. Okay, you've got price update, and again, you've got all different sizes of different postcards. You can go into buyer, you can go into lead generation. Business basics can be good when you're just starting out. You do have business card options as well as letterheads. So I highly recommend that you go through and just experiment. Look at some of the different categories and sizes. If I wanted to now say, you know what, I really don't want to do a printed piece. I want to do something for social media. Just want to show you how you back out. You go up to the top. There's a little X at the top right. I'm going to click on that, and it's going to bring me back to command to my design window. So if I wanted to go in and do a social design, I'm going to come under the, again, the plus sign that's in the teal circle, and I'm going to say social, and I'm going to click on next. Just like before, you're going to see I have very similar categories, but I have different images. So our first option is our app. If we wanted to come in and highlight our app, if I go under listings, it all looks very similar. But these here, when I look at the difference between Facebook, Instagram, Instagram stories, these again are all images. Facebook tends to be a horizontal, long rectangle, whereas Instagram tends to be a square. Instagram stories is a tall rectangle. LinkedIn and Twitter are both just different sized rectangles. Now I'm going to tell you that I must be some sort of a rebel because I personally like to post, for the most part, square images, which would be under Instagram in this instance. But I don't just post them on Instagram. I post it on Facebook or wherever I'm going. And I mention that because these are just images. And I want to make sure that you guys get that. Just because it's in the Instagram category doesn't mean that's the only place that I can post it. So again, you have all different categories on the left that you can go ahead and choose to create. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick one, and I'm going to pick this one in the middle. It says it's all in the details. When I want to use it, I'm going to click right on the red button that says use. And this works the same if you're in the social or the print area. Now I chose the square format, which is why this is a big square. If I chose the Instagram or the Facebook format or the Twitter, it would be more of a rectangle. What I want you to look at in here is we're going to start all the way to the left. All right. The default, we're on the images tab. You have text, icons, and logos, and KWLS. If I look across the top, I have text here as well. And I'm going to show you what the different text options are. We also have drawing shapes and frames. When you have created your marketing profile, which I believe you've all done at this point, you're going to have your headshot in the library. All I've done is in the images tab on the left, and the default is company, I've chosen my library. So I have two different photos in mine. One just has a transparent background. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on it. And look at that, it shows up really big in the middle of my design.
Right where you want
it. Maybe a little too big.
Looks
the
great,
way that,
Sarah.
Oh yeah, woohoo, look, forget the house. It's
just leave it like that.
Yeah. The way that images work, right? I can move it around the screen. I have, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit, top and bottom, left and right, oblong handles. And I also have round circle handles in the corners. Any image that you're using, whether it's a picture of a house or a logo or a picture of you or whatever it is, if you use the top and bottom, I don't know what I clicked on there. Holy moly, that's a lot of hair.
I'm jealous.
Seriously. Okay. when I click on those, it's going to crop it, right? When I click and drag, I got a little funky thing going where it's zooming in on here. Get it back there. It will crop it side to side, up and down. The oblong handles crop the image, okay? Whereas the corner handles scale the image, right? So I don't want to be this giant on a card. I want to be nice and small and fit well with the logo, which I could make bigger as well. Now you'll notice as I'm moving this around, I'm getting a blue line that's kind of helping me visually place it so that it looks like it's in line. So I could add that there. If I decided I didn't want the one transparent background, if I select the picture, and again, it could be any picture, but if I select the picture so I see the handlebars, I can come up to a different picture and you'll notice that I now have an icon that's 2 arrows making a circle. If I click on that, it would replace the image.
Hey, Sarah, do you mind asking a question real quick here?
Absolutely.
Somebody asked how you have one picture with a background of yourself and the other one is transparent.
Well, I created the transparent one. I actually went in and cut out the background in a program called Photoshop. And I just added it into my library. There is an option once you get more into your designs where you can add in more. Now, one thing I wanted you to notice when I added in the picture with the background, now it looks like my head's cut off, right? Not the end of the world, but maybe not what I want. If I could either click on the image and I could make it taller, or if I liked it to be a square, I could double click on the image. And by double clicking on the image, you'll notice everything else goes gray and I see the handlebars on the corners of the actual picture, not the box. Think of it this way. I don't know if you are familiar with text boxes, whether you're using Word or any program. You have a text box and your text fits into that shape. When I dragged out that photo, it created like a picture box. So that you can see right here, the little clipped square image. If I use, whether it's my arrow keys or I could drag the picture into that picture box, you can get an idea of where that's going. So if I liked that, I could move it that way. Again, if I click once, I do have the ability to manipulate the whole image by itself. Now, another way to change a photo, besides clicking on it and coming up and clicking on that replace image icon, I can just click and drag into the space and it will replace the image. So that is what would be in your library, would be your headshot from your marketing profile. Under company, they have been very kind to give us all of these folders, 5 folders of royalty-free, copyright-free images that we can use. So for instance, house types, if I came in here, I'm gonna look through and try to see, is there an image in here that best suits my area? If I don't have an actual listing that I have pictures to use, right? That are my photographs, I've paid for them, right? Because I don't want to take someone else's photos. Or I could use one of these and it would work the same. I can either click and drag it in. And if I say, oh, I like that, but it's cut off, you could double click on it and you get those handles and you could see, where do I want this image? Maybe I actually want it to be offset that way. Again, I could also click on the image itself and I could use, well, I guess that one's next to it. Let's pick a different image. I could use the replace image icon there. And then again, in this case, I might make it the image itself bigger so it looks like I am zooming in on the table here. Now, all of these things are fairly simple tools, but if you've never done it before, it can seem overwhelming. So my best practice is to just go in and create something, just mess around with it. You're not going to break it and you're not going to change the original template. When I've decided I've had enough with this folder, I need to come up to the top to this arrow. to back out of that if I wanted to go somewhere else, to one of these other folders, or I could go to the word add, and you'll see at the top, you have Facebook, Facebook pages, Instagram, Google Drive, and Dropbox. At the bottom, you'll see images that we have used recently, or at least I have used recently in mine. I do like to point out, if you decide that you want to connect to your Facebook, originally you're going to be connecting to your personal Facebook, and then afterwards you can connect to your business page. So if I connect to my Facebook, the first time I click on it, it did ask me to accept that this program is going to be connecting to my Facebook, and I had to log in. And you'll see, I mean, this is probably 12, 15 years or however long of pictures that I have on my personal Facebook page. So it's kind of funny because I'm like, huh, look at that. Once I have connected to that, I could also go to Facebook pages, and it will now, it's going to see right here, do I still want to continue on? And then the Facebook pages that I have chosen to link with this, I could then come in and I could choose different pictures that I might have on my business page. So if I wanted to add this in, I could come right in. And again, that's an image from my Facebook page. So I like to point that out because a lot of times, you know, we might have something that we posted previously on social media that we say, oh, I wish I could use that in a design. You can. The other option is down here, you'll see it looks like, I'm assuming that's like a little computer with an arrow, but a little black box with an arrow. And you can click and drag, or you can just click on that icon. It will bring you to your computer. I don't have that many exciting pictures on here, so I will do my back to school, my teenage boys, because why not? It'll be funny. They would kill me if they knew. So now you all know, first day of 8th and 12th grade. And you'll see it's taking a second to come in because it's a fairly big photo. It's amazing how big our iPhone photos are at this point. But it does pop right in, and it was fairly easy for me to add it. So same thing, I could click on an image, and then I could come over and use the replace image icon, or I could just click and drag. And here's my teenagers. Again, I could go ahead and they would kill me. See, buy the house, you get teenage boys with it. They come for free. Okay, so there they are, right there. But you can easily do that. And I wanted to show you that because a lot of times you might have listing pictures somewhere on your computer, or let's say you don't have any listings, but pretty soon the leaves are going to be changing. It might be a really fun time to drive around and take pictures of your neighborhood, of fall leaves changing, of pumpkins, of Halloween things, of different, you think I really love Halloween, I keep mentioning it, but it's a, you know, something happening in the next 30 days. You can go around and take pictures, save them from your phone to your computer, and you could come right in, click here, and you could grab them fairly easily. So that's images.
A quick question, Sarah. This is Mohammed. So for do we have options to sync it to, for example, Google Photos or other places that we might have pictures or files besides these 4 options?
No, really, it's just Google Drive, Dropbox. I mean, if your Google Pictures connect to your Google Drive, then possibly, you know, you have the ability to connect right into there, but that goes right into your Google Drive, not necessarily Google Photos.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, so here, just because it seems weird, I'm gonna change it back to a bedroom. All right, the next option down is text. And the text that comes in here, if I just start on the left-hand side, you have my library. And I bring this up because these are all of the different things that you have put in your marketing profile. So if you came in and said, I can't type my name, I'm just gonna click on it, you'll see that it comes right out. Again, it's just, you know, the words. You can come in, again, what's the name of your office? That's in your marketing profile. You can come across, you can just click and drag every single part of the text that you want. So that's what the library is. Under company, you have the ownership statement. So it is, each office is independently owned and operated. Again, you could click and drag that across I'm just going to leave it right there for now. Banners are kind of fun. So let's say that I want this to have a really professional look, but maybe I'm not a designer. Well, I could come in and I could look through, just scroll through huge amount of these banners, and I could say, what is it that I want to have on here? So I'm just going to pick something rather simple. I'm going to do this, your text here, and I'm going to click on it. And you're going to see it adds it right in the middle. I have the ability to scale it just by, again, those circles in the corner. When I look up at the top, I have all sorts of different options. I have the opacity, so that means, you know, can I see through it? Is it transparent? I have the multiple fill colors, and I have a stroke color. So if I just show you the difference, and again, a lot of these banners, you're not gonna know what they are until, what these different fill colors are until you try to change them. So you can see I changed the fill color to red, and I can see that is the middle box. If I choose this one here and I'll make it a blue color, that is the topmost box. Whereas this one, I'm going to guess is the other box, right? So that is just changing those. I can click on the text individually, and I could actually change the text. I could say just listed, and I could also go ahead and change the color of that, or maybe I'm just going to put in a town, or maybe I'll say, I'll just leave it for now there, right? Obviously that's a little crazy looking, but I just want to give you the idea that you can use any of those banners. If you wanted to change something other than the basic parts of it, there is this weird little icon. It looks like a chain link. You can hit explode and you can move the different parts around. So you could play with those. I'm just going to get rid of that for now. That's still under the text option, and you have a lot of different things here. Add is if you had something that you wanted to add from your computer. Okay, icons. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. I don't have any icons in my library. The company ones would be your icons to go with your contact information. Stock icons. I really want to find a way to make this look professional. It just makes me laugh because I'm like, oh, a fish. I mean, that's a nice fish, but you know, maybe not. One thing to know is that you do have folders of these. And I like to point this out because the one thing that I personally really like are the borders. So if I use the folder, it's just a little bit easier to compartmentalize. And you know what? I just want a little designy swoop at the top, right? So I've got that. Oops, always good if you click the right thing. I've got that. I can use my arrow keys or I can click and drag. Right now I've just got a little swoop. And again, I can come in and I can change the color. I can do whatever I want with it. I can make it bigger or smaller. That's under icons. Feel free. I mean, I have done a flyer where I put crazy sunglasses on and a Santa hat and had all sorts of fun with it with all these different icons. I haven't gotten the fish to look good yet. There is a hedgehog too, just in case you wanted to know. There's tons of these things. They just keep going on and on. So you can have fun with that. And you can also add some if you have some on your computer. The logos are really what you're going to want to focus on. You want to make sure you have your office logo. So if I look at the default, you can see the KWDBA name. That is not an actual office, right? So for instance, I am going to just take my office logo, and if I click on it, it sticks it right in the middle. Or I could drag it, just like I did with the photo, right on top of the one that said DBA logo. I could then select it. I could make it bigger or smaller. If you have access to or a way to make one that is all white, I'm going to show you why I like this one. So I could fit that into my picture. And if I wanted to look more like a watermark or something that's not as obvious, I can play with the opacity and I can make it transparent. So this can be helpful if it's, something you want into your image, but you don't want it to be overwhelming. The last thing I want to show you guys is KWLS. So if I have a listing, I could come in to KWLS and I could type in, well, first of all, I could type in any listing. It does not have to be mine, which could be good if you were doing an open house for someone else. And I said, hey, Darren, would it be okay if I created some marketing for the open house I'm doing for you this weekend? He's like, sure, have at it. I could go in and type whatever I want. So I'm going to type in, let's see. All right, so I'm going to just pick this one. Now, I came in, this is a listing I had last year. I can come in, I can pick this. I can see all the photos that were in MLS. I can also click on listing details. Now, in this case, it would not be applicable, but if I clicked on listing details, this is gonna come in and it's going to show me every single part of the MLS listing. So if I came in and I wanted the whole write-up, I could click on that. And I mean, you can see this is obviously way too much for what we're doing here, but I have that whole entire write-up. Most of the time, we're gonna keep it on photos, and I could come in and whether I decide to, you know, use the replace image, or if I wanna come in and, you know, click and drag. And again, I can double click, I can move the picture where I want it to be. Right? You've got all different options, but you can go right to KWLS and do that. It typically takes, all right, I have to be honest, I've seen it connect within 15 minutes, and I've seen it take 24 hours for the listing to go from the MLS through List Hub and filter into Command. So just want to let you know, it's not always an immediate thing to be able to connect to your listing. So that is that option. And what I like is, so I've shown you, I could take pictures from social media, from my computer, from a listing, from anywhere. Or I could use stock images. So I've got lots of images there. Going across the top, I could draw a shape. I could use a stock shape. Again, you do have lots of crazy folders, but for the most part, we're just going to use the stock shapes. I could use what's called a frame. Or I could add your typical text, title, subtitle, and so on. So if I choose title, you're gonna see it comes across. Again, I can highlight it and I can change it to be whatever it is that I wanna say. Now, what I wanna show you is what I'm typing is bigger than the text box, so it moved it to be 2 rows. Text works just the same as a picture, where I have a text box that I can change the width of it, or the corners, I can change the whole font size. I can then come across the top. I have all my basic editing tools, so I could go ahead and pick from a huge amount of different fonts. If I know the name of the font that I want, it disappeared. That was weird. I could go in and I could change that. It does not like me changing the font that way today. Interesting. Okay. The other thing I can do is I can manually change the font size. So if it's currently at 93.1, which may or may not mean anything to me right now, I could go in and change that, and I can see that my image is freezing again. I love it when we're doing updates. It's always fun to teach a class and have things hang like it is right now. I will tell you that they are doing a lot of updates this week, so that's most likely my issue. Again, I have the opacity. I can make it more or less transparent. The fill color, the stroke color is like the outline. I am gonna go in and I'm gonna refresh this, even though it's probably gonna take me back to the beginning, but it's not helpful to you if it is hanging. There's really just one last tool I want to show you on here, and I'll be very sad if it's not going to play nicely with me. Okay, I'm just going to come right back into the design that I was just working on. So it hasn't saved since I started, which is fine for right now. What I want to show you is, I'm just going to click right here on this text. A lot of times you'll see marketing materials that are hard to look at because nothing really matches. So for instance, if I were to make this text like bright neon green, and maybe I'm going to put a shape behind it, and you can see I just picked a square. I can move things, by the way, top and bottom. So now I have a nice square in the back, and I can change again the size of that. Maybe I'll make this nice and bright red just to show you this is really ugly. And you'll see the outline of the box is a blue. Up at the top, this is what I want to show you here. I have the red box selected. Opacity is going to make it, think of it, is it fully transparent or is it fully opaque? The fill color really is the red, right? It is the color that's in there. And there's two things at the bottom that most people don't know what they are. The first is the transparent option. If I do this, it will become invisible. There will be no fill. The second option that I want you to see is this little magnifier or eyedropper. And what I like about the eyedropper is I could click on that and then go anywhere in my design. And I want you to look up at the top here where it has a number and then a picture. It's giving me an idea of what color I'm choosing. So I could come in and choose that light blue and say apply. I'm next going to choose the stroke color. So again, if I change it to red, you'll see it's now a red outline. I'm going to go ahead and make that transparent. And then I'm going to click on my green text. I'm going to do the same thing. I could either use my eyedropper and pick a color. And I just have to get rid of my red outline. Or I could, already have something that I wanted. So now, even though I probably would fix the size of the teal box and whatever else, it's starting to kind of flow together. And that's just using your basic editing tools. And for a shape, it would be opacity, fill color, and stroke color. So now it's starting to kind of coordinate, and all I did is pick colors straight from the design. I see that Lou asked really quickly, how do you print things in massive volume? Yes, you could use a local print vendor. You could also download this as a PDF and send it to any print company. I use a company a lot called Merrill Corporation. If you go to merrillcorporation.com/KW, I want to say is the website. You could go to let me think here, Vistaprint. You could go to anywhere if you wanted things to be printed, and that's pretty simple. The last thing I would just want to share on this for right now is up at the top. To me, this is one of the most important things. You'll notice that this template is called 01_FS details. That means nothing to me. That would drive me crazy because when I look in my menu, what are all these things? So I might call this, whatever the name of the property is, or whatever my marketing piece is. The next thing I want you to see here is you've got download, share, and done. Download, if I click on it, I get three options. I get a JPEG, I get a PNG, which is what I personally would recommend if you are going to be posting things online, and I get PDF. If I'm going to print this, I would choose Get PDF, and most of the time you're going to want to select High Resolution Print. One thing I want to do is once I hit Start Download, I want you to look at my lower left window, portion of my Chrome window, kind of where the button for support says. Because once I hit Start Download, if I hit anything else like Done right now, it's going to stop the download. And this is something that people tend to get pretty frustrated with. Okay, see, now I see it right in my Chrome window. It says 16 Woodlands PDF. Now I know it's downloaded to my computer. So now if I come in and hit Done, it will save and I don't have to worry. Share, personally, I have found this to be a little wonky, so I avoid this one. But when I hit Done, it then saves it right to my design templates. I can go back in, I can change it, I could rename it, make a copy if I want to keep this one for Woodlands, but I want this to be my template. I could go ahead and make a copy, or I could say, you know what, I don't like it, I want to delete it. So that is very helpful to me. And I want to say the only other thing is a lot of times you don't even need to download it. So once we get into doing a social post, I'm going to show you how we can go ahead and not have to even save things. So Darren, what are we up to next?
Sarah, quick question.
Yeah.
So if you delete something and you want to kind of revert it back, where should we go? Is it trash folder?
If you delete it, it's gone.
Okay.
I have one question too, Sarah, if you have some
Yep.
time. I always struggle with putting a border to the image. Can you show me how to put a border to an image? Just a plain black border.
Sure.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to open up a card that I started making the other day. Right. So this is just, it was for a postcard, but it could also be an image on social media. And you can see I used one of those banner icon, things to just put something on there. If I wanted there to be an outline, I could come in and click on the image. In this case, because it's a picture, I can't do anything. And I know that because I can look up at the top and I can see that my options are reposition, different filters, change the opacity, or make it a background. So one option I could do is I could create a shape. So I'm going to click on shapes. And in this case, I'll click on the square again. Now, I'm going to move it right now into the white area, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. It's very difficult to see, but there is actually a light blue, and I'm just going to make it red so you can see it a little bit better. There is an outline that is a default on every shape that you use. So if I just make it bigger, because I really want you to see it's there. My recommendation is 9 times out of 10, for this instance, we don't want one. So I'm going to make it transparent. That again is this diagonal little line. You see it goes away, right? It's not there. If I put it over something, it's not white. I don't have an outline.
Right.
So now in this case, if I was using this to outline this picture, I would want to change the size of my shape to be bigger than that picture. Now it's not helpful because it's sitting over it. So what I would want to do is up here at the top right-hand side, you can see I have all these little sneaky buttons. The second one over is arrange, and that's where I have forward, backward, top, or bottom. So if I were to move that to the bottom, now I have an outline.
Right.
And that would work for anything. If I made this image, the picture smaller, right? I could make it so that it looks like it is, the whole thing is outlined. But now it has a little bit more depth, right? There's a little bit more image or a little bit more dimension to my image. It's not just getting cut off. But you could do that with anything.
Great.
Does that help?
But there is no other option that you can just put the border to directly to an image. It's just that you have to put it like it. What happened in this situation is like I have to spend some time to put exact border size on all the 4 sides low. So it's like a little time consuming.
Things that are shapes or even like text, you can go ahead and you can outline it, pretty easily. If you look, I now have a green outline going around just sold. But when it comes to pictures, and it doesn't matter, any picture that you put on your image, there is no, outline function. I would have to come in and create something behind it.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah.
Sure. Any other questions? I think what's kind of neat about the next portion, and it's something that a lot of people don't necessarily think about a lot, is really, what do you see in this image You guys can all see it, or I just want to make sure.
Actually, we see the slides there, the tech demo slide.
Yep. It says you're invited.
No, we to your slideshow. It's like,
Okay.
I think you might be frozen. Yeah.
I don't know what the deal is today. All right, how's that?
There you go.
So you're invited? Okay. So when you look at this image, what do you see that is good and what do you see that might be missing or could be better?
I think the logo in the lower right-hand corner could be
Name and phone number,
Contact information.
website.
So busy.
It is pretty busy. When you think about it, so it's hard to read their logo, right? I could see VK, which I really only see in their picture of their logo, not in the words, right? I can see that they're with KW Partners. I can see where the open house is. It's maybe not as in my face as I'd want it to be. If I was looking, I'd have to really scope around and go, oh, okay, it's 306 Allendale Drive. But it's how would I even reach out to this person? What if I couldn't go
phone
from
number.
12 to 2, right? There's no phone number, there's no email, there's no website, there's nothing to contact them. You know, and maybe that's really busy. Just something to consider. How about this one?
Not clear what house we're talking about.
Or if this one's even just the area, which could be a great marketing piece, what's happening in Gem Heights? But who am I talking to? I've got Heartlink Homes, I've got KW Pulliup, I don't even know where that is. I don't know where Gem Heights is. Maybe I'm new to the neighborhood, or maybe I'm renting and I'm interested in buying, but I have no idea. I can kind of really look at that map and figure out where it is, but there's no way for me to contact people. And are there really only 4 active homes and 26 total pending, but they can't even tell me the average days on the market?
This might be too much of a, oh, sorry, go ahead, Darren.
Go ahead, Eric. It's fine.
This might be too much of a nitpick, but I mean, I'm looking at houses with pools and tennis courts, but I see an average listing price of $362,000. Should the imagery match the neighborhood we're actually talking about?
Yeah.
Well, the crazy thing is, in different parts of the country, you might actually get that for $362,000.
Yeah.
Wisdom.
All
I know.
Livermore, Maine.
Yeah. You can't go
No,
anymore.
I mean, the only thing missing is a helipad, so.
Yeah.
Well, here's my question. So whenever we send out any sort of marketing, besides having an ability to have easy access to like if Erin sent this out and I can't even see her name on it and I have no way to call her, text her, email her, go to her website, and I'm like, I don't even know what the heck is Pulliup. I have no idea. And I'm, besides that, there's no call to action. So when we look at marketing, we always want a call to action. It should say, interested in what your home is worth, call me today, or, something that's actually saying, hey, Mr. Homeowner, or whoever's getting this, call me, text me, email me, contact me, come to my event, raise your hand and say, I want to sell my house. I want to buy a house, something. There's no call to action either. It's not bad looking, which is good. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we are always asking for the business, even if it's just call me today or contact me today.
Remember when we talked about earlier, they had the, how we know if marketing is working? That's a great way to do it because they're going to call you on it. So,
yeah.
Quick question on this image. Oh, the one you just had.
Yeah.
The area where it says Gem Heights, and then it's got the circle and the average listing price. Is there a place in Command where you can generate these images by neighborhood?
I'm going to say yes and no. Okay. There is. I know it depends on the area that you live in, how accurate it is. And I say that because our neighborhood information currently comes from a company called Nextdoor.com. And I do believe that, at least from what I've noticed, people who live in more urban areas, the neighborhood information is much more accurate. Where I am, it is, I'm going to say, fairly rural. The town I live in has a minimum 2-acre properties, right? So it's fairly rural. And our neighborhoods don't make sense. So I end up with a lot of information that looks like what you see there, where it says, you know, for active. I'm like, really? Are you kidding? So my recommendation is this. Yes, you can get a lot of this information straight from command. It's called a snapshot, a neighborhood snapshot.
Right.
I would always, always confirm the information that you are sending out in your MLS. Go and look at your town. If your town was called Gem Heights, I would go in and I would look at what's the average listing price, look at the past month. And personally, the other thing that I like, if I'm going to add stats like this, I would put something at the bottom that says, in my case, it would be information from MLS PIN or NERIN, depending if I was doing New Hampshire or Massachusetts. And I would also put in the time frame that this, you know, as of September, what's today, the 25th? Like, I don't even know what day today is, right? I would always put that information in there in small print.
Okay.
And
But always
Sarah,
confirm. Yep.
I think you can edit these in certain
you can.
windows. So I don't know if you can everywhere, but definitely if you're doing one like for a campaign to put on Facebook, you can actually adjust the information to what your knowledge of the market is. So that's a really good point. Like, we're always talking about knowing our market, right? And going in our MLS and learning what the actual stats are. Yeah, for us in New Hampshire, this data isn't pulling correctly all the time. So, you know, really be aware of where you are and make sure it matches. But you can edit it. So you can get this image and just make the numbers right.
Even if you just add a text box and put a, you know, whether if it was in the black area, put a black square over it and put a text box over it with the right information, but you aren't really changing the image.
Yeah.
Always verify. Okay.
Yeah, that might be a new feature because I know that we've tried to do that in the past, and I've had Fred Moore look at it, and he said it was nothing you can do, but I guess if you can get creative with the text boxes, then that's obviously good.
Here's what I do personally. You know, if this was something I was going to be doing quite frequently, I recreate it, to be honest with you. And I liked this area at the top. I just recreated it as a template in Designs. And then every month I go in and I adjust the numbers, and then I don't even have to worry about it. I don't have to recreate it every month.
Right.
Okay, what about this one? What do you guys see in this one that is really good or that needs some work?
No phone number, email, or agent to contact. I think the pictures could be bigger.
And there's a lot of white space.
Yeah.
They're not very
What about-
flattering pictures.
What about the fact that Holyoke there, what is it? Okay, it's a cape, but the other ones tell me the price, what it is, you know, how many bedrooms or bathrooms, or that it's a vacant lot.
Right.
You know, there's no
Details.
information.
There's no, it's all in the details, but there's no details.
Does it need to be your listing or it can be any listing?
I have a pending sale up.
I would always, if it's not your listing, you want to ask for permission unless you're doing something on the neighborhood. Look at all of these homes and it's not just one. Like if I'm going to pick on Darren and I'm going to say, you know what, I want to market every one of Darren's listings. Well, he could come after me for that, right? If I'm just saying, I'm just going to go after all of your things, you would either do the whole neighborhood or you would do your own listings or your office listings, or you would ask permission. Pending could be good because it's showing that you do business, right? So if, let's just pretend that this was all in the same area, you're showing you have these two listed, this one pending, and maybe you have so many sold, you're showing that you're an active agent in the area and you are kind of using it for multiple purposes. But you're right, the one big thing is there's no call to action. It's great that it's in the details, but I don't see all the details. What's the difference between Armstrong and Co. and KW Signature? Now I'm confused. Who am I talking to? How would I reach them?
Yeah, the
So
call
just
to
some things to think about. What?
Sorry. No, the call to action is extremely important. I'll give you an example. We actually had an agent in our office who created an ad that she wanted to put on Facebook, and we'll show you how to do that in a minute. But she put a picture of herself with her contact information and nothing else, and then ran it for a week and said, how come I don't have any leads off of that? Well, there wasn't a call to action. People saw it, and that was it. It wasn't asking them to do anything. It wasn't saying, what are you offering? What are you doing? So that call to action and having everything explicitly there really will be the difference between a successful campaign and something that just falls flat.
Exactly. All right. So, Darren, I just want to make sure timing wise, because I know we're supposed to break out for some calls, and you know, is this something you want to do an activity with creating the materials, or do you want to have it be their homework?
Why don't we do it for homework? And then that way we do is we can show them campaigns, and then maybe we can do a little bit of role playing, because I'm not sure what we're going to get to beyond that. So
yeah. Okay. So first thing I just want to talk about is the difference between paid ads, emails, you know, obviously direct mail, that would be letters, postcards type of a thing, social posts and quick posts. Well, quick posts and social posts are kind of the same thing. When you have a social post versus a paid ad, those are really the things you want to focus on. What is my purpose? So we learn in real estate that we want to create, so let's just use Facebook as an example, a business page. Because it's against Facebook's terms of service to do business on our personal page. I will tell you that after a while, Facebook will put you in what I call Facebook jail. I've known several realtors who've been in Facebook jail for 6 weeks or something, and they can't access or post any of their things because they did business on their personal page. Now here's the difference. Number one, you have to have a personal page to create a business page. And if I were doing an open house and posting that on my business page, I could then share it to my personal page so that all of my friends and family can see it. But the original post and what I'm sharing from will always say whatever the name of my business page is. It'll say Keller Williams, it'll have my office address, it'll have all of that information. Social posts, when you think about posting on your personal page or on a business page in Facebook, who sees it?
Everybody.
Everybody who?
In your contacts.
Everybody who is either a friend.
It depends on who you have in your options, whether it's just friends or public.
Yeah. Right. And if you are on a business page, the only people who are going to see your post are your fans or people on your business page.
Ones who have liked it.
Yep. So that's a post, and a post is free. We can share the post, and then it will go to our friends and family and on our personal page. But a social post is free, and the only people who see it are the people who like our page. A paid ad is different. You can target the people who like your page, but most of us, most of the time, we're using this more for marketing purposes to people we don't know, and doing a paid ad that would go to people in an area. We might say, okay, I'm in the Andover office. I'm doing something based around here. I'm going to choose between 15 and 50 miles of Andover, Massachusetts, or wherever it is that I want. And it will, depending on our settings, we will pull people from that area. So the difference between the paid ads typically are going to people we don't know, who don't necessarily like or have ever heard of our page, whereas posts are free and it is going to the people who like our page. One thing to keep in mind, a lot of times you want to do both. Because let's say that I am posting, whether it's an open house or just listed, or hey, do you want to know what your home is worth? Have you seen what's happening? Market report for the area, whatever our post is. I want the people who already like my page to get the information and feel like they're getting that value. But I probably want to get more people that I don't know to be people that I know. So I'm also going to do a paid ad. So today we're going to focus more on social posts.
Excuse me.
So what, yep.
Can you also post this on LinkedIn, or is that?
What you would do on LinkedIn, you would go in and you would save the PDF or save the PNG file, and then you would go in and post it. We don't post directly from command to LinkedIn right now.
Okay.
So to do a campaign, it looks like a megaphone, right? Again, if I can't remember what the applet looks like, I can click on the KW in the red and all of the names come out. So I click on campaigns. We do have a dashboard here that tells us, well, lots of information, but if we look across the top, dashboard, paid ads, emails, direct mail, social posts, and you'll see I can look at, I haven't done a paid ad in the past month, so I'm really not doing so well in the past month with that. But I do get some, you know, just quick little things down here, looking for inspiration. Come down a little bit, I can get some training, I can get advanced tips, I can see more. Like the dashboard gives you some good hints. I can see easily what I'm connected to for paid ads and for social posts just by clicking up in this right-hand corner, and I can also add to it. Now, really quickly, when we are in our settings, I'm just going to use Facebook and Twitter as an example. You'll notice there's two places in our settings that we need to connect to. So if we haven't done it, we can click here on this icon, the gear icon. This is showing me what I've already connected to. Or I would have to click on my name and go to settings. And I want you to see Facebook and Twitter here have post scheduling. But if I come down, there's an ads manager for each. The reason I need to connect to both, if I am doing both, is that the ads manager is for paid advertising. I am going to pay to advertise. Whereas post scheduling, I am giving the ability for Command to interact with Facebook and Twitter to post on my business page or on my Twitter page. Okay, so you need to go in and you need to connect those accounts. You're giving permission essentially for Command to interact with it. So I'm just going to come back to here. Across the top, you can see, again, this is going to show things you've already done, right? So I could look at paid ads, I can look at email, I can look at postcards, but we're going to go to social posts. So you can see I haven't created social posts in the past week or so in Command, but if I want to go ahead and create one, just like when I was creating a design in the designs template, when I click create a new campaign right here, I get a little pop-up and I have to pick. So the two things that we're mainly talking about would be, again, the paid ad or a social post. Social post is free. I'm going to do that one. When I click on social post, this window pops up. They do give us little tips. Keep your text short, clear, and to the point. So let's just say I'm going to do an open house post. All right, so you can see whatever I type into this box shows up in a preview on the right-hand side, open house Sunday 1 to 3. Now, I can upload a photo, upload a video, add a link. So just to keep it simple, I'm going to keep with a photo. I can choose from designs, or I could upload an image from my computer. I'm going to choose from designs. I'm going to go ahead and browse my design library. So this should look familiar. This is where we just were. I'm going to click on a design that I created. So just a few minutes ago, we learned how to create a design. When you save it, it's saved in designs. I come in here to make a post and I can choose it directly from there. And it doesn't seem to want to help me here. Why is it not coming up? The other option is to choose upload images, which again, if I had something saved on my computer, I could go ahead and select it. So I'm going to just pick an image that I have on my computer that was just something that I liked, and I crop it, and there it is. So obviously this would not work for my open house Sunday. And I'm just going to see where my design went, why it's not choosing it. Now you can see that it's also giving us a little tip. I'm getting a nice error message there, that we should use 1 to 4 images. So for some reason today does not want to go with my images. Ah, it likes this one. So we're gonna just pretend that this is a house. I can crop it to what I want it to be and put it in. Now that I have two different images in here, I can move them if I want the order to be different. Right, I can just click and drag. I can keep adding. I really wanted a house one to come up. I don't know why it won't work today. Okay, this one it likes, so we'll go with that. If I decide I don't like something, I can go ahead and just click on the X and it will delete it. As I scroll down, I can come in here and see my office logo. Now, my image already has the office logo, so in this case, I probably would delete it. Don't need it on there twice. If I wanted to include the ownership statement is this office, each office is individually owned and operated. I could add that in and it will put it in the image. If I zoom in, you can see it's very tiny right there on my image. Okay, if I think this is the most incredible post I ever wanted, I could say, do I want to schedule it to go at a different day? So I could do multiples of these at once, and I could say, I want this one to go out on Monday at 10 a.m., or I could say publish it immediately. So you have that option. I also have the option to put it on multiple places. So I have two different business pages that I've connected to here, and I have Twitter that I could connect it to as well. And then I could go ahead and either save it as draft if I'm not ready, or schedule it. So I could go in and very quickly, whatever my message is, so even if I say, you know what, I no longer want open house Sunday, I might say, have you seen what is happening in, and I'll just say Andover, right? Whatever it is that I want to put as the top of my post. I might highlight something that's happening, right? Homes are selling at 103%, list price to sale price. Whatever it is that I want to highlight, I'm going to put there in the message. If I want to look, so if that's Twitter, what does it look like on this page? You really see it looks the same. It's just the heading because they're different Facebook pages, but I can look at that. And then I can go ahead and either schedule it, or in this case, I'm going to save it as a draft. It doesn't like one of my images. Darren, it's killing me today.
It always happens when you're doing these presentations and teaching classes.
We must be doing updates.
Well, they are. This whole week, they're doing a huge amount of updates. And also, I have to admit, I don't remember off the top of my head if it's Saturday night or Sunday night, but sometime between 11 o'clock at night and 2 o'clock in the morning, they're going to be doing a big update. My hope for all of you is that you are actually either sleeping or doing something other than playing in Command between 11 o'clock at night and 2 o'clock in the morning. So hopefully it won't disrupt your weekend.
Well, what else could we possibly do?
I know, right?
I think you
well, here's the problem.
Your value proposition at 3 o'clock, right? That's what
right.
It's
Just
actually
like
super addicting. I love playing in designs. I do.
Well, that's the
Sarah?
hard thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question as a new agent. So if I want to do those kind of posts, like paid ads to reach people that I don't know already on my Facebook account, so what ideas that I can put in the post? Because I don't have any like listings or buyers for now. I'm just want to remind them about me or let them know that, okay, there is a real estate agent in the area, stuff like that. Like, so can you like give me some ideas?
Sure. And I would love for everybody to, kind of chime in. So first of all, as a new agent, if you are either shadowing or hosting open houses with another agent, or even a virtual open house, you could ask for permission, hey, you know, Erin, is it okay with you if I go ahead and do some marketing on this? Because Erin would be the listing agent in this case. She's like, yeah, do it, go for it. And I go ahead and I create an ad based on that. The things you want to make sure of when you do an ad versus a post, you need 3 things. Number 1, you need an image, right? What are they going to see? What's the visual little blinky shiny thing that's going to be in their face that they want to click on? The second thing is you need your message, right? So what is your message? Is it, you know, what is your home worth in today's market? Is it, you know, click here for whatever? Is it an open house? Is it, what is the message? Call to action in that message. And the third thing is, where do they go? Because with an ad, when they click on it, they actually go somewhere. You need to have where they go. So again, if you're using Command, it could be a landing page. It could be a page on your website, regardless of what website you use. You have to have a place that they actually go to. So they click on the image, you get their information from the Facebook lead generation form that they go right into Command, but they need a place to go. So before you're going to create any ad that you're paying money for, you need to make sure you have those things, right? What are they looking at that's going to capture their attention? What is it that you're going to say, right? What is the message? I'm going to tell you one of the things I do with, say it's a listing. I like to tell people what they're going to get. So I might put some highlights on the home, and then I would put, the button is called Learn More. I would say, click Learn More for photos, details, and price, or, you know, whatever fancy thing I'm going to say. And it's Facebook, so I'm going to put a bunch of emojis in to be more blinky shiny in their face, like, yay, let's click on it, right?
Okay.
You need that message. And then the third thing is, where do they go? So if Darren clicks on my thing, and it's for a specific property, and it says, click more for information, details, price of the house, blah, 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 all of that. And it goes to the first page, the home page of my website. What's he going to think? Right? He's going to be annoyed.
Yeah.
Switch.
So it has to go to a page on that website, whether you do a search on, you know, on the first page of your website and you pull up the page on your website for 123 Main Street, or you create a landing page, or wherever they go. You just want to make sure they go to the place that you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah, the other thing that you could do too, if you're just looking at posts, I mean, you know, Sarah showed us that there were so many designs that were in the design feature. So any one of those templates can be used. If you ask permission, like she said, to show somebody's open house and advertise that, you can post that to everybody that is on your Facebook page and have them share it. Okay, make sure that you ask them to share it as well. But you can also put up, she had the little box that talked about local statistics in the town or the neighborhood. You can advertise the fact that there's branding that's in there. So you can say, hey, I'm a realtor. You can talk about Keller Mortgage. I mean, the list is just incredible in terms of things of value that you can offer to folks that are out there too. Just even in just a simple post rather than the ad.
Yeah, and someone had mentioned earlier they were worried about consistent branding. Even if you use all of the templated things that are there for you, it's all going to have a similar look, right? Everything's going to have your logo, your Keller Williams logo. I'm sure there's red, black, and gray in there somewhere. You know, it's all going to have somewhat of a consistent look. So that could be, you know, something you don't have to worry about. Just really quickly, Hope asked how many landing pages can you have? I don't know that there's a limit.
Yes, Sarah, I have a question regarding Facebook jail in terms of using your social page to redirect people to your business page. You know, for instance, hey, I'm a realtor selling real estate in your area. Please click this link to follow me on my business page. Has Facebook been, have they reprimanded people for doing that because you're directing them from your social page to your business? Or do you find your experience that they don't care?
Here's the thing. Just like with anything in life, you want to make sure that you have a good ratio of how many personal things you post to how many business. So for instance, if I were to post something that says, hey, I'm a realtor, check out my business page, or if I say something like, I'm at, you know, 123 Main Street open house this weekend, but that's one post. And then, you know, the 5 most recent posts or the 10 most recent posts besides that are all, either something personal or about the community or something that's not, you know, specifically business, then no, you probably will not have a problem. If you're consistently trying to sell on your real estate page, that will be a problem. Also, think about who you're targeting. So let's say that on my, and I actually have someone in mind that I'm thinking of with this from when I lived in a different state who did this constantly. She and I were in the same office, and she would always post, you know, hey, Darren, I see you're pregnant. Congratulations. You must need a bigger house. Or, hey, John, I saw you just got a dog. You're going to need a bigger yard. Give me a call, right? Every single thing was me. I'm a realtor. Look at what I did. Just listed, just sold. Every single thing on her personal page was about her business. So first of all of her friends and family were like, block, ignore, unfriend, right? Because they couldn't take it anymore. It got to be like, here she goes again. Whereas when it's something that is, hey, have you seen this house? Or what about focusing on, like, let's say you go into a house and it has the most amazing stove, right? Maybe it's got some ornate Italian brick or marble around it, and it's so beautiful. It's just different. And you're like, have you ever seen anything like this? That is different than, you know, I see that the grass is getting long in your yard. Maybe you need to downsize if you can't maintain it. Like, that's it, you know, I would look at it more like that. You can invite people to your business page. You can share things from your business page, but you want to keep in mind how many social posts you're doing in there in the middle that are just talking about community life. You know, people go on Facebook to be friends, right? To find out what's happening, not necessarily just, look at me, I'm so amazing, look at me, yay, right? So we want to have that mix. I hope that answers it.
I have a
Sarah,
does. Thank you.
I have a question.
Great point. Real quick. Sarah makes a great point. We always lean towards 80-20 rule, right? So it should be, even on your business page, it should be 80% being the mayor of your town and 20% should be business related. There's no problem in congratulating Darren and his family for moving from Spokane, Washington. That's fine. Think about your friend who's a dentist. They're not like hopping on at lunchtime saying, hey, 2 root canals and 1 filling and pounding their chest. Like, we talk about every success, and that's when people shut us off. And a great way to, you know, just to pop in the fact that you do what you do to remind your people on a regular, we have to tell everybody in our life 7 times we're in real estate before they forget, right? So something you could do, you know, if it's like Mother's Day and you're having an open house or something like that, you can talk about the mocktail that you shared at your open house, and here's the recipe with the good stuff in it for your weekend with your parents, right? So you can quickly reference you had an open house, but it's not like, hey, by the way, because people are going to shut you off. People can follow your page and then stop, you know, they can like your page and then stop following it. Or and when they're not engaging with the page because of the Facebook algorithm, they're going to stop seeing it. So please understand that too. So when you do put value there, you are getting it to less and less of a wave of traffic of people that actually care, only for the fact that in order to incur paid ads, they have changed the algorithm that all the people in your life, when you post something even on your personal page, aren't necessarily going to see the content. So when you do post content, make sure you're coming from contribution and you're doing it to add value to the people that see it. If I start to see you coming down in my lane of traffic in my page and I'm like, oh God, here comes Herda again talking about her 15th closing of the morning on a Friday, Ionosaurus Rex, like, I'm just going to shut her off. And then if I didn't want to deal with her on Facebook, I probably don't want to deal with her in real life. So she's never going to list my home, because I don't want to be another notch in her bedpost, for lack of a better term, but it's Friday and it's almost noon, so I'll say it, right? Anyway, yes.
Oh boy.
I have a question.
Yes.
So where do you need to take them in your call to action in your social post in order for Command to capture their contact information?
So in a social post, it's not necessarily going to capture anything.
Sorry,
On a
I meant to
paid
say
ad,
that,
it
yeah.
will.
Where do you need to take them? In other words, like, click here for more information. Where should you be taking them so that Command grabs them?
Darren, do you want me to talk through it real quick? I don't know how much time we have left for what you want to do.
That's fine. I mean, it's important to know that the way that we have the Facebook relationship, and because of the fact that as a company, the largest real estate company in the world, all right, Facebook is giving us priority in the algorithms. So when you actually set up your Facebook account, all right, what do you give them? You give them your name, your phone number, your email address. Hopefully it's legitimate. We know there's aren't that many that are. So as soon as you click on an ad, all right, you get preference. So that box that comes up when you first do that, all right, it pre-fills that information in there. So all I have to do is click through that to get to the next segment. So it's very easy for us. As soon as that box pops up and they click through it, we capture that information and we have the benefit of doing that. All right, but you do have to take them somewhere. You do have to go somewhere. And I think Sarah's going to show us here how that happens. But that's one of the benefits of us partnering on an international level with Facebook, as opposed to being Joe Smith, local realtor, and you put, you know, $30 ad out there and you get one lead. You know, it doesn't work that way.
Right. Okay, so I'm back. All I did is click on the campaigns icon. So that looks like a megaphone. So let's say I wanted to go in and quickly create an ad. Now I'm going to assume that I have all three things that I need. I have image, I have message, and I have a place to go. So I'm going to click on the button that says create a new campaign, and I'll say social ad. Now the pop-up window that comes up, I need to make sure, well, it won't let me move forward if I don't name it. So I'm just going to call this Ignite. And I need to choose what my goal is. So in this case, I'm just going to say advertise listing. And then I need to tell them what campaign or where is my campaign going to run. To keep it simple, I like to do them separately. I'm going to be honest with you. So I'm going to do Facebook, and I'll hit set up campaign because that's the only option I have. Now, when I do that, you'll see that automatically what pops up is the ability for me to choose a listing. One thing that people are finding is, do you want only my listings or all listings? And then what status? Now let's say that I want to choose all statuses, and I'll just pick this one because it's popping up. Or if I'm doing this for someone else, I'm gonna have to type in their property. So if I put in okay, this one here. This is an agent in my office. I could do something right here for her. I could hit select, and now it is going to connect to that listing. What's really nice is it automatically has taken a lot of the details from the listing. So the write-up, you know, the description and the pictures. Also, if I go back and I say, I just clicked the X before I had to choose a listing. What if I don't have a listing and I want to do an ad? I just click the X at the top, and then it's going to all be on the media that I choose. So you don't have to have a listing. So if I look at this window, right now, everything on the right is a preview, and everything on the left is where I am choosing my information. If I needed to change the listing, I could come in and change it. First thing is add text. I'm going to hit configure. Now they give us a little tip, keep it short, right? So in this case, what I might do is space out, like for me, I don't like commas without spaces. I know I'm very nitpicky. So I probably would come in and fix that. I can watch it change here. Also, I think I mentioned to you before, I like to tell people where they're going to go. So personally, I would write click. And again, if you look down here, it says learn more is the button. So I'm going to say click learn more for details, price, and photos. Now, personally, and this again, everyone's going to do their own thing. I don't like the way that this looks with the three little dots. So I most likely am going to delete this a little bit. So I might say, in this case, I'm just going to end it right here, right? Because I want there to be enough space and I don't want to have those three little dots. So if I look here, I can see where I'm at. Because it's Facebook and I want to get, it's like how many blinky shiny little things, I'm going to put in some emojis. I'm not a huge emoji fan, but it's Facebook. Right here, you'll see I have the little smiley face in the bottom corner. So I'm going to come in. Some that I personally like would be, so I want the finger that's pointing down
I'm just going to say this. I don't mean to be offensive. Make sure you choose the right finger because the one next to it is not the finger you want. So I'm going to choose this one. It's just a little finger pointing down, so it's pointing at the picture, right? I'm going to put a space. I like the little house one, so I'm going to put the house. I'll type in the word house in the search bar. I'm going to put the one with the tree, right? So that it's starting to look kind of cute. I've noticed that people seem to get things when you repeat it. So you could put a couple. You could go in and pick whatever you want. You know, if this has a pool, maybe you put the little different things in there. So you've got that in there. It looks kind of cute. That's fine. Headline. Headline is right here. Goes underneath the picture, right? So my description, my main copy is above. What do I want this to be? Depends on my ad. If it's about this listing or if it's an open house, maybe I want to say open house Sunday 1 to 3 p.m., right? And then underneath, I actually really like their suggestion because I think it's catchy. You could be coming home to this, right? And then I'd probably write something that's a little bit more, you know, a call to action, something that's going on, or information. Are you interested in what your home is worth? Have you seen, you're not going to believe the fireplace in this house, right? Whatever it is, you're going to write it. You're going to see that it comes in underneath. Once I like the way it is, and I've made sure that I don't have any misleading content, anything that implies personal attributes, adult or political content, I'm going to hit save. So now I can see I've got the add text. The next one is add media. Now this has, because I've chosen the listing to begin with, if I click add more, you'll see all the listing pictures very nicely come right in. Otherwise, if I had something on my computer, I could come in and choose something from there. But I'm gonna, and I have right here, choose from listing, add images or add video. So I'm gonna come in and just choose a few. You can choose, I believe, up to 5. This house has a lot of virtual staging in it, so I probably, I don't know. Anyway, what happens when I choose an image? I always have to crop them. So I just want you to see, like in this case, I'm cropping up and down, but I have options. I have wide,
Can you go
square.
into what you mean by virtual staging?
I'm sorry?
Can you explain what you mean by virtual staging?
Sure, this house is vacant. And they used computer software to put in pretend furniture. There's
Wow.
actual furniture in the house. Like this, you can see here the barge stools are there, but there's nothing else. If you look at the picture I just put in, it has like a dining table and living room set. That's not real furniture. So in each case, you would come in, you can also crop it in the corners. Maybe I don't want the shed. I'll just pretend that, right? But I want to keep it the same format. I can go ahead and crop it. Now, what I can see in my preview is that I have different pictures. So I could come in and say, all right, here's one, here's a second picture, here's a third picture. Everything else stays the same, all the verbiage, everything else. The next thing is, again, your DBA logo, so your office logo, and you have to choose where you want that on your pictures. So you see you have an option of left or right. If I choose left, you're going to see that my KW logo comes up on the left and there's some wording on the right. I like people to know that I can't change it for each picture. If I choose right, it's for all of the pictures where the logo is now on the right. But I can decide, do I want the logo on the right or the left? I also want to point out, I know it's hard to read, but on the other side, this one says courtesy of Keller Williams Realty, listed by Pillar Realty Group, MLS PIN number, blah, 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 whatever the listing number is. If I choose to use the ownership statement, each office is independently owned and operated, I can also put that in. It comes in right after. I don't know why, I think it looks better with it. Just kind of evens out that normally it's pretty small on that end. When I have what I want, I can hit Save Media. So now I have my pictures, I have my words. The next thing is Facebook ad. So this is going to answer your question about how do I get it to go where I want it to go. So already in my marketing profile, I have attached my personal and business pages. The account is always going to be your personal account. You don't have another option because everything in Facebook is based on your personal account. Now, I happen to be an editor on like 15 business pages, so I think they all show up here. So I really only want one of mine. So I'm either going to post it on that one or probably this one that I use more. So once that pops up, it should change the header, but this is telling it what my business page is. Maybe. We've got 9 minutes, man. Come on.
So Sarah,
yeah.
I was working on this yesterday to connect my business pages, and I have multiple ones as well. And oh yeah, there was an error code because they were working on something in the back end, and I use Facebook Business, so I have to. Do you use Facebook Business?
No.
Okay, I have to disconnect that. Okay.
But this one here, I just tried it again. It works. So sometimes you just have to give it a second.
Right.
Now this is where people get confused. So I'm going to zoom in so you really see it, Kimberly. So you have, where do you want the information to come from? Facebook lead generation form or use a site or landing page. And this is where you're going to get their information. If you choose site or landing page, you have to actually figure out how to extract the data. If you use Facebook lead generation form, they automatically go into command. So use the Facebook lead generation form. It also looks exactly like everything that people are already used to looking at. So what would happen is someone would click on my ad, a pop-up window comes up saying, confirm that you're Sarah Herta, this is your phone number, and so on. And they hit yes. I automatically get their information, and they are then taken to whatever I put into this follow-up destination URL. So I could either paste in a URL for a page or website, or I could click on this choose landing page. And if I had a page that I wanted, I could just click on it right there. So this is a landing page that I created for a different property, or I could choose this one. And this is where they will go. So obviously I'm going to pretend that this whole ad is based on this 134 Lovejoy Road. So as soon as someone clicks on this ad, they're going to go to that landing page. And I'm going to show you what that landing page looks like. Okay. The next thing is ad targeting. You can see right here, because I put Billerica as the location. If I want to change it, I need to say use custom settings. We're going to keep it for right now because we want people we don't know at a custom audience. And I have a choice between 15 and 50 miles. I can't go lower than 15 and I can't go higher than 50. So however many miles I want a radius around the center of Billerica, that's where it's going to go. If I want to further narrow or increase my audience by saying I want people who are first-time home buyers, people who are like horses, people who whatever, can do that as well. When I have everything that I want in there, I'm going to say save Facebook ad. Then my last portion is duration and budget. When you come in here, a couple of things to note. Number one, today is September 25th. If I wanted to start it today and I put today's date, you're going to see it's going to say no. It has to start tomorrow or a date further out. The next thing is how long do I want it to go for? When do I want it to end? Right? So the default is 10 days. The default also has $30 budget. Well, maybe I don't want $30 for a budget. Let's say I put in 5. When I hit save, it's going to give me an error because it needs to be at least $1 a day. So I could either leave it at 10 days for $10. I could change my duration so that I was only at 5 days or whatever it is that I want to do. Like here I've said 4 days for $5. So it's going to be $1.25 a day. And it's an algorithm of how many times it is viewed, how many impressions you have on there. I could say I want it to be $50 and that's fine as well. Okay, so then I have a choice. Once I have all my little green check marks, I can either save it as a draft or publish. So in this case, I'm going to save it as a draft. And it will bring me back to my dashboard that's going to show me my paid ads eventually. So while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to give you an idea of a landing page. Okay, this is one I created on a property. And this is just all the different widgets that are in your options for landing page. This is a YouTube video that's added in. Here's, you know, listing details. It pulls it all straight from MLS and so on. Market stats, download my app, all the different things. So that's where people would go to when they click on it. They want to learn more information. They're going to click obviously on that property. When you can see here, this one I did for 51 Houghton. I did it for 10 days and I got 18 leads. If I click on the 18, it brings me right into my contacts. I'm just gonna say, please bring me right into my contacts. And you can see these are all leads. They all have the L. And if I click on somebody, you're gonna see number one, all the information that came in from Facebook, their phone number, their email. I can see that they are a Facebook ad lead. That's where they came from. And I can see the campaign was from 51 Houghton. So that was the ad they clicked on, they got sent to that website, but that's where their information came from.
Okay, so if you, let's say you are not yet good at creating landing pages with widgets in it and all that like you had. So the point is, I'm thinking through the entire process. So the point is, you get them to click on your ad. Somewhere Facebook asks them for their phone number and says, okay, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, and then, but then you ultimately have to take them to a place of value, right, to get the information. So could you just take them to the MLS listing?
Well, what you could do is on your website, the one I was choosing is under contract, so it's not showing up right now. But let's pretend that this was it. Okay, so I said it was 18 Ichabod. We're going to pretend that this is 18 Ichabod. I am on my Keller Williams Command website, right, as a consumer right now. I've typed in the address. I get my whole thing on it. You see all this, ask your agent. This would all come to me. If I click ask my agent, see how it says fill out the form, and Sarah will get back to you. What I can do is take this URL right here that is for this property, and I can put that as the destination. So they're not just going to my website, they are going to, you could call it the MLS listing. It just happens to be on my website. So anytime they have a question or need information, they're going to come straight to me.
Okay, so you have to make sure that all of that is operating properly before you take them there. In the event that you don't have all that set up yet, could you simply, I know you'd be missing a step as far as, you know, having them be on your website and everything, but could you just connect them to the MLS?
You could.
Listing until you figured out the rest of that, how to put all those pieces together?
Yep.
All right. Okay. So just double, triple check to make sure that the place that you're taking them in the end, that is the carrot that they wanted to nibble on. Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else have any other questions?
When will this be published? I have to watch it again.
Yeah, well, it's been taken, I would say at least by tomorrow. So, you know, give it at least until tomorrow. I know Jen takes care of getting the video moved, and you know, she's in meetings all day, so it's gonna, you know, likely happens later in the evening. So I'll make sure for today's session I can mark it as an announcement on the Facebook group so you can find it really easily, and I'll move it into the unit for today. But I would give it until at least tomorrow.
I have a quick question. So many really good resources, even if you go to answers.kw.com and you look up any part of designs, of the designs applet. If you, you know, I mean, I could, Erin, if you want, I could post on the page a lot of different resources.
Yeah, that would be great.
Things.
that would be great. We can even make a separate folder for that too, or a unit, right? And that way people can find it in the unit. If
The
that's
easiest
easy.
thing is to just play with it. Play
Yeah.
with the design. You can't mess it up. You're not going to break anything. Okay. So play with it, have fun with it, and then move into, okay, now what can I do with whatever I create?
Sarah, I have a question. When you were moving around and you kept saying the DBA, is this going to be my market center logo, or
Yes.
is this some, okay, so it's not like my name, like some people have their own LLC or whatever it is. It's not just their name, but you were speaking about the Keller Williams Market Center logo.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
So I guess one last question to Sarah is I'm noticing that even though my market profile is updated with my photo is not showing up in my library under templates. Is there a way of importing that?
I'm just going to look at, because I know they've been doing updates. So let me look at a couple of things. I'll let you guys kind of go with the next question, and I'm just going to look up something real quick, and then I will give you that answer.
Thank you.
You might be able to add the image to your own library, but it's, we'll see what it comes back with. So what else? What other questions do we have? Everybody shell-shocked at this point? A lot of information?
They're ready to go make calls, Darren. They're gonna go make all their calls.
Oh, that's right, Aaron. Thank you for reminding me. Excellent. Absolutely right. The
you're
most critical part of
10-4.
all this, right?
Yeah, we're out of time, but don't forget your 10-4, right? And make your calls and yeah.
All right, I'm going to share my screen really, really quickly. So I'm just in designs, and I'm in the, I think it's in the print part. But you see right here, it says plus library. They've moved it. It used to be once we were inside. When I hit the plus library, the red button, oh my gosh, it is doing it to me again. I'm cursed today. Let me just refresh.
I hope you don't have to keep doing this all day.
Okay, I know. When I hit that, I thought maybe Google needs to be updated. When I hit plus library, you can see I can put in whatever information is here. I can go to the text. I could add in more text information. I could add in images, right? So I have images and backgrounds that I could add in. So if I had a different headshot in this case, logos, the same thing. So I do have my own logo as well as my office logo. I can add in at least 8 different logos. And then I could go into brand kit. If I wanted to add in, like I added in this one font, I could add in specific fonts that I like or specific colors. If I had, you know, my personal branding colors are this, this, and this, I could go in and add them. So if I go into really any of the design templates, so if you click on the plus sign and either go into social or print, you'll see here, it used to be in a different place and they moved it. So that's why I wanted to make sure where they moved it to. It's this red button that has the plus sign and the word library. And then you can add that right in.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
I think this was very helpful because it gives us the whole picture of the big elephant instead of just the foot or just the trunk or just the tail. It shows us how everything, Command, Facebook business page, personal page, all connect to each other. Thank you so much, Sarah. You have added so much value today.
And just make sure that you remember that our marketing comes after our prospecting because we want to grow our business first.
Yeah, everything Sarah showed us today is useless if there's nobody listening. If you're not having a communication with people, right? You know, these are all great tools for us when we're running our business. To Sarah's point, we need something to grow. And that's the conversations you guys are going to sprint to in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, you're going to go pick up the phone. Hello? Hello?
And just think about it, because then after you say, so I could say, hey, Tim, we catch up, and then I'm going to send him something in response to follow up from it, right? That would be my marketing.
Yes.
So you have to make your calls and have your interactions first.
Offering value, prospecting focused, marketing enhanced, right?
Yes. Yeah, and just
you all
before
so
we
much.
go, I just want to remind everybody again, because I've seen a couple people say they're leaving, see us on Monday. There's no class on Monday, so we will see you Tuesday.
Celebrating Yom Kippur.
Yeah.
Thank you
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
so much in this class.
Great class.
Thank you.
Awesome class, Sarah. Thank you.
Have fun.
Darren, did you have anything else or are you just done? We're done.
We involuntarily we're done. So
He's tapping out. Go hydrate. Go hydrate.
yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
All right, bye guys. Good to see you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Sarah.
you,
Thank you,
Sarah.
Aaron. Thank you, Tim. Thanks, everybody.